Good evening or afternoon, I guess I should say. It's only 2 p.m. Central Time, and welcome back to Will Bratton WX. We're going to be taking you through the severe weather over the next about 3 to 4 hours, as I am going to be live until about 5:30 to 6, somewhere in that region, as I do have some family plans this evening. But we're going to be bringing you some coverage through the at least the start of initiation here, which could happen as soon as the next couple of hours. We do already have some strong storms all over the place. We did just get a flash flood warning in Kentucky for Logan County. That one literally was just showed up like 2 seconds ago. So we have that going on in place. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning out here in Kentucky as well. That is also going to be within Logan County. Tag for those 60-mile-per-hour winds. Up in Illinois in the greater Chicago area, we are looking at some stronger storms, completely outflow dominant, rolling through. And I didn't grab my pen tool. Incredible. We are looking at some stronger storms rolling through the Chicago suburbs right now. As you can see, this outflow boundary here on radars. These are very outflow dominant. So just some stronger winds rolling through areas like Manuka, Shorewood, Joliet, Elwood, Manhattan, New Lenox even. Nothing, particularly concerning, but 60-mile-per-hour winds and maybe some very small hail out there. Out in Pennsylvania, we also have a severe thunderstorm warning, and we're seeing all sorts of these discrete storms I talked about in our forecast video this morning, just scattered discrete cells that will fire off and bring the potential for some gusty winds. All of these are just beginning to fire off now. I'm seeing Logan in the chat saying, do you think Pennsylvania will end up with any storms in Pittsburgh? It's definitely possible. I wouldn't rule it out by any stretch. So far, all this initiation has stayed to the north of Pittsburgh, though. But to be determined. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning out here in New York as well, with all of these thunderstorms producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail alongside. So just a lot of scattered storms, and eventually these could form a line of storms that could bring a little bit more of that damaging wind risk. But in general, we're mostly looking at an isolated storm risk here throughout the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, really. That could bring some of these stronger wind gusts. I see Lorian in the chat, Braden in the chat, Brody in the chat, Mason in the chat. What else we got in there? Help Weather, Kaysen, Pezix, all the familiar faces out here. Electric Tornado Storms in the chat. Will in the chat. Phenomenal name there. Out in South Dakota, we have a severe thunderstorm warning just west of Rapid City, as this one is one of those collapsing types of thunderstorms that's just bringing these really gusty winds. You can see here at the surface with some of these winds heading towards the radar unit. That's what the green symbolizes here. So in this case, these winds are going wow, great arrow, to the east. And those are coming in pretty quick here at 2,000 feet in the air. Nothing crazy, but at the surface could easily see some of those downburst style winds that are producing 60 miles per hour at their peak. As you can see, these storms like firing off some of these air mass storms, and they collapse, pushing out all that precipitation down towards Rapid City. There is some sort of a residual boundary out here in the Rapid City area, as well as some vorticity at the surface. As you can actually see a little bit of counterclockwise turning with the winds here as we go back in time. And then we go forward in time and it's counterclockwise. Does my dad's brother need to take shelter in Lockport, Illinois? No, he will be okay. So I realize my camera is still up from me putting on the 4th of July fedora this morning, which was funny. Down in Georgia, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Murray and Whitfield counties. We also have another one just east of Huntsville. And a lot of storms are firing off in the southeast. And again, we're expecting tons of these storms really throughout the day. Just all of these air mass storms, so much instability brewing down there. Not a ton of a capping inversion. It'll get easily mixed out, and we can see it's already been well mixed out as we're getting tons of storms able to overcome what is left of that warm nose. So tons of these storms just firing off, moving from east to west on the south end of this high pressure system. So that'll be something to watch. Down in Tennessee, southwest of Nashville, we do have another severe thunderstorm warning there as well. This one looks like it could be producing slightly larger hail, upwards to about an inch, as it is lofting some of those targets above 30,000 feet in the air at 50 dBz. So a stronger one there. And of course, our storm just east of Huntsville, more of a wind threat, but also could be producing some of that same hail down here as well. And none of these storms are going to be tornadic in nature or supercellular. These are all these air mass thunderstorms that will produce some strong winds. All right, what did I miss? Arkansas, we got Faulkner and Pulaski counties here in Little Rock, where we have all sorts of downbursting winds. You can see these boundaries pushing out in every direction here in Arkansas. And again, this is very common with these air mass thunderstorms that happen in the summer months in the South, is you'll get all of these outflow boundaries just pushing out like crazy in different directions as different storms fire off and dissipate. So tons of different storms, and they just fire off. They don't last too terribly long. They mature, and then as they dissipate, all that mass rushes towards the surface and spreads out in all directions when it hits the surface. And they can produce some of those very, very strong winds. We do have some weak rotation going on at 4,000 to 5,000 feet here in Pennsylvania near Cottersport. So that's definitely one to watch. I doubt any of these storms will become tornadic, but we definitely can't entirely rule it out. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get METAR on here. As we can see, those surface winds are really pretty non-existent, so it's going to be difficult for these storms to get the inflow they need. However, there is plenty of moisture here with dew points in the 70s, upper 60s at the least, and towards 70 degrees with these dew points. So we could definitely see LCLs just low enough where we could get potentially tornadic development, but it would take some extra mesoscale events to happen there. We get a little nudging going on or something like that. We did just get a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in Michigan for these storms coming off of Lake Michigan right now. They're not there yet, but they are going to be producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, and we will have storm chaser Mikey Plemons out there in Michigan chasing these. So that is going to be a good visual aid that we're going to have soon from him. Says he's going to be live in under 30 minutes. Brody asking about what's going on in Mississippi. We are going to see some general thunderstorms really throughout all of Mississippi today. We can already see a lot of those storms just beginning to fire off. And it's just these air mass thunderstorms that are just going to continue to move slowly from east to west. None of these are going to be flying at you or anything like that. The unfortunate part is if one fires off on your head, like just north of Starkville right now, a lot of them are just going to sit there for a long time. As you'll see, as we go back in time a little bit further, we'll play a little time lapse here, and you can see these storms. This is like an hour. This is like almost an hour-long period here that I'm showing back and forth, and these storms are not really moving much. They're just creating these downbursting environments. You're going to see this ring of winds here at the surface that's just going to expand outwards as we go forward in time. I can play forward a little bit here, and boom, you can see those winds have now expanded out towards looking a little bit like this. So these winds are just going to continue to smash against the surface, spread out in all directions, and you'll see some stronger, gustier winds with that out in areas like Mississippi. So plenty of storms ongoing all over the country right now. And again, our only considerable severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds are these storms that are going to be quickly leaving Lake Michigan here and heading into the southwestern part of the lower peninsula of Michigan. So that is something to watch for sure. And we do have a couple of discrete storms actually firing off here in Indiana, it looks like, although there's something clearly wrong with the Webster radar. I don't know what that's about. But there is a discrete cell fired off here near South Bend in Indiana. Another one south of, or just southwest of Vicksburg here in Michigan as well. And plenty of storms continuing to roll through the Chicago area. It looks like we may have a little bit of hail, just small hail going on here in Chicago for areas like Rockdale and Preston Heights. But in general, this is not a particularly dangerous storm by any stretch. This is just 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and maybe some small hail. But clearly we've got the a little bit of yeah, the radar is now fully down. I think we literally just watched this radar die out here in Indiana. So that's interesting. That's not something you see all the time. But yeah, of course, we are watching these storms roll on into Michigan. These are going to be the most concerning ones for this current moment, anyway, as they're going to eventually roll through areas like Grand Rapids or just south of Grand Rapids and through Kalamazoo and even potentially hitting South Bend, Indiana as well. How's the weather looking for Nashville tomorrow night? They have the big Let Freedom Sing from 7 to 10 p.m. Yeah, you can actually take a look at it in our latest forecast video, which is on YouTube now. It's going to cover the next 3 days of weather. But if we plug in, give me 1 second here. All right, if we plug in Nashville on our website, you can actually see the heat advisory and extreme heat warning that they are under right now. You're also going to be able to see for tomorrow, Independence Day, sunny and then a chance for showers and thunderstorms, which is really going to be the trend for the majority of the United States east of the Rockies, essentially, where tons of people are just going to be getting those scattered thunderstorms. If we look at the categorical outlook for tomorrow, what you'll see is basically the whole map is light green, which just means these air mass thunderstorms are going to be possible for the whole country, as we have this high pressure system in the eastern half of the United States with this upper level ridge that looks a little something like this. And so we're just getting all this high pressure, tons of heating going on in the eastern half of the United States. And we get those pop-up thunderstorms as some of those air parcels are able to become buoyant enough to overcome the cap. And you get things that look like what's going on in Mississippi now, as we can go back down there. In Mississippi, Arkansas, Georgia, and even Tennessee, we just have tons of these smaller thunderstorms firing off all over the place. I mean, literally thousands of square miles here, where you're having these storms firing off. And some of them might reach severe thresholds for small hail and damaging wind. None of them are really going to pose a tornadic threat unless some weird mesoscale event happens, where you get like a couple of storms that interact and merge in a weird way, with all these different outflow boundaries that are getting set up. That's about the only way you'd have any kind of a tornado risk, and I'm not worried about any tornado risk in the southeast over the next 2 days. Pezik's sending me a new place file that apparently will tell me if a radar is down. That's cool. How about that? Wow. That's pretty cool. That's a cool place file, and very useful. Thank you for sending me that. There's so many cool place files that I need and don't have. Yeah. Definitely a couple of radars down on the map. What do you have for food? Today, I'm actually not eating on broadcast, so I won't have anything today. It's actually like one of the first broadcasts ever where I won't have where I won't have food on the broadcast. We do still have this flash flood warning going on, by the way, here near Adairville and Middleton and Corinth out here in Tennessee, or Kentucky, excuse me, for Logan County. This is just right at the Tennessee border north of Springfield and Nashville. Not far from Hopkinsville as well, just southeast of. Legacy Adventures official, good to see you in the chat. I see you out there, Blake, and I see all sorts of folks. I see Jesse in the chat. I see Pezik's out there. We have Brady in the chat as well. Tons of folks out there tuning in for the live severe weather coverage with tons of isolated severe storms. And again, we're not looking at any type of a severe weather outbreak, just isolated severe storms all over the place. And then a little bit later, in a couple hours, we'll get back into a slightly more robust severe weather mode out in the central plains and into the northern plains. All right, we are going to check in on these storms in Michigan and see how close they are making it. As again, they're not in Michigan yet. They're over Lake Michigan right now, and they're going to be rolling through Allegan, Ottawa, and Van Buren counties in Michigan here, where we are tagged for these 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this severe thunderstorm warning was issued well in advance because they want to get that message out that we could have up to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts with these storms as they roll through. Back in the Chicago area, these storms are continuing to roll on through, especially just south of Chicago, near areas like Joliet. And you can see on radar that outflow boundary is very visible, where you have these stronger winds just continuing to push through. We take a look at those velocities here, and you'll see all sorts of stronger winds being picked up by the radar unit. You will see some of these on the back end, some of these reverse downbursting winds essentially on the backside of the storm are clocking in at consistently around almost 50 miles per hour, 45 maybe miles per hour at just 200 feet in the air. And then some of these with the outflow of this storm at 400 feet, just about the same, holding steady around into the 400s. Around 400 feet into the 40s of miles per hour, excuse me. At the surface, we could easily be seeing those gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and that's why we have that severe thunderstorm warning in place. A couple of really small hailstones, maybe pea size, nothing that will really deal damage, is also possible. We did just get a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning down here in Michigan. That's going to be for Berrien County. So just essentially extending the severe thunderstorm warning, the considerable severe thunderstorm warning, a little bit further south, as these storms are most certainly going to impact some of those areas as well, like St. Joseph and Niles. Yeah, apparently we're having record-breaking 400-mile-per-hour winds. Apparently, no, I'm just playing. We're not expecting anything super intense today by any stretch. Logan saying, as of right now, it looks like the National Weather Service has the storms everywhere except Pittsburgh and Erie. Yeah, again, it's definitely possible that Pittsburgh won't end up seeing any storms, but you will see near Cleveland just a couple of cumulus bubbles starting to fire off. So I would not rule out storms really anywhere from this neck of the woods, anywhere in this circle, and especially a little bit later this evening down into the mid-Atlantic as well. I would not rule out storms, but really this afternoon in this current white circle on the map, I would definitely not rule out any pop-up storms that could reach severe thresholds. Looks like Mikey is going to have a pretty good storm out here in Michigan with these winds rolling through. I'm drinking this this ice drink that's got a little bit of caffeine in it. It's like 5 calories, 0 sugar. Tastes all right. Tastes pretty good. Tastes like a Sprite kind of. And it's got a little bit of caffeine. I'm running on about 4.5 hours of sleep, so got to make sure I'm keeping myself alive. Legacy Adventure saying, I'm planning on going live at 7 just for fun. Nice. Yeah, I see. I'm not going to be able to be live past about 6 p.m. tonight, unfortunately, as I do have some family plans, annual plans that I can't miss. Every year on the 3rd of July, we go to this big fireworks show. There is now a severe thunderstorm warning in place for Will County, Illinois, which is kind of cool. It's just going to be an extension on these storms moving through Lockport and eventually through Chicago Heights, Manhattan, Joliet, towards Hammond as well, south of Chicago. Yeah, we are not sponsored by anybody. But ice caffeine, sparkling ice. If you wanna sponsor me, reach out. My entire family loves those drinks. Yeah, I do own a county. This is my county right here, Will County. here in the Chicago suburbs. It's just, the thing is, us St. Louisans and with St. Louis sports, we really own Chicago. So I had to make it official and, get my own county named after me here in the Chicago suburbs. All right, down in Georgia, we do have a couple more severe thunderstorm warnings that have been put in place. One just west of Marietta and near Kennesaw. So very populated areas in the suburbs of Atlanta here. As it does appear that Mikey Plemons is now live, so we're going to see if we can get him out in our broadcast here in just a second. Give me just a minute as I try to get a link here for him. There he is. All right. We're going to put him in slot 1, and let's go ahead and get into our chaser cam mode. Bada bing, bada boom. There he is. So we do have Mikey's feed live now here, which is awesome news. So if you're not subscribed to Mikey, I'm going to drop the link to his feed in the chat. Everyone run to his broadcast, leave a like, and drop a subscribe if you so desire. But at the very least, leave a like. It'll help him out as well. How do you get your streams so sharp? Oh, we've put in a lot of work, man. That's about the number one secret, is we've just put a lot of effort into really putting time into the little details. But all sorts of storms out here in Alabama and Georgia, even into Tennessee and Mississippi. A handful of them reaching these severe thresholds southwest of Nashville. That is going to be for Hickman County. Near Huntsville, we have a severe thunderstorm for Jackson and Marshall counties. And then down in Georgia, we have Gordon, Walker, Whitfield, Bartow, Cherokee, Cobb, and Paulding counties, all within these severe thunderstorm warnings. And all these are just going to bring some gusty winds. Nothing crazy. Nothing super, extremely damaging. Not really much of any tornado risk at all. Scotty Bruce saying, what do you think about Omaha tonight? I know we're in the enhanced risk. Storms give me a lot of anxiety. I would definitely be prepared if you're in Omaha. Now, I will say, if tornadoes are your main concern, you're not going to be in a super elevated risk for tornadoes, but you are in a 2% risk. So it is possible that we see an isolated tornado or two, but I'm not expecting any type of an outbreak or anything like that this evening. Wind is going to be your main concern out here in the Omaha and Lincoln area. So strong winds might shake the house a little bit, a lot of rumbles of thunder, but you should be okay. You also may get a little bit of hail, but I honestly don't think we're going to really be seeing that large hail towards Omaha this evening. I think it'll stay a little bit further to your west. And into South Dakota as well, with some of those initial storms that fire off. Torcast saying, I hope everyone is staying cool or getting rain. And yeah, we got a little pop-up storm here and just literally like right over my house in the suburbs of St. Louis earlier this afternoon. Yeah, Scotty Brew, no worries at all. And we will be live for another about 3 hours this evening or this afternoon. So definitely stay with us here as those storms may begin to fire off in your area in about 2 hours or so, maybe getting towards 3 hours. I will say I'm not going to be able to take you through the whole night, unfortunately, this evening like I usually am, as it looks like we may have lost Mikey's stream. I'm going to try and figure out what happened there. Hello? Hang on. Let's figure out what happened with this. Hang on. All right, let's go do that, do that, do that. There we go. Take it live, and you can hear his audio there. I'm going to keep it muted for the time being. The nice thing about our new overlay is that we can actually get the audio from our storm chasers now, something we could not do previously. Forecast saying, I see my city on the map. I don't know where you're based, but nice. Happy to see that you see your city on the map because you were wanting rain, so you'll probably get some. All right, we're going to check in on the storms in Michigan that Mikey is on right now. I'm going to see if he's got his spotter dot on. I don't know exactly where he is right this minute. But he will be on these storms here as they roll on through Michigan. And we're going to stay with him pretty close. It looks like he is getting mobile. Actually, I think I can just look on his broadcast to see where he's at, actually. Let me take a look. He's in Hillsdale County in Michigan right now. Okay. Let's take a look at where Hillsdale County is. Okay, he's down here near Jonesville. So he is going to be out there in Michigan this afternoon, tracking some of these storms for the next couple of hours here. As it looks like he might be trying to target this discrete convection that's going to fire off ahead of our considerable tag severe thunderstorm cluster and see if any of those become tornadic. And he did just turn his spotter network dot on, so we can see if we can find him in Hillsdale County. He said he turned it on. I don't know if Hillsdale County is still exactly where he is, because I'm not seeing his dots. But that is okay. We are going to stay with him regardless, of course. Southern Michigan went enhanced for today. Is that what I'm seeing? Or that's what I'm seeing in the chat. I'm not seeing that on my map. Hang on. As we are going to be, let's see, he said, let me get on US 12 and I will go for a live hit with these towers going up. Okay, sounds good. That will be nice then. Yeah, I think Southern Michigan is just in a slight 2 out of 5 risk and not an enhanced risk. We are going to have Mikey coming in to do a live hit with us not too terribly long from now. So we will prepare for that. That will be awesome to see. Storm Team 41, how you doing? It is good to see you in the chat. Forecast saying a swath of damaging to severe gusts is expected across the southern lower Michigan over the next few hours. They did update it to enhanced. That's what I'm seeing in the chat. Okay, clearly I'm just not getting that update for some reason. I don't know why that is. The last update I've got is the 13Z update I'm seeing on both my website and the Storm Prediction Center. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm not calling you guys liars. I'm just saying I don't have that. Oh, they put it on Twitter. Okay, I got you. So they just haven't rolled it out yet. That makes sense. Because they do have these really strong storms that are coming off of Lake Michigan that did re-intensify over the lake. So not a bad idea for them to go ahead and put out an upgrade like that. Okay, and I do actually have a visual now on what that looks like for that enhanced region. So we are going to get an update on our thumbnail in a minute. In the meantime, here is what it looks like. Someone sent me a screenshot. Our media guy, Blake, was kind enough to get me a screenshot of this. So out in southern Michigan, you will see that enhanced risk has been put in place. We did just get a considerable severe thunderstorm warning upgrade down here in the Chicago suburbs for my county, Will County, Illinois. We are seeing the, yeah, okay. we have seen a little bit more of a Boeing cluster start to form. You can see these velocities are really spiking up like crazy down here. So some of these reaching at around 800 to 900 feet. We're seeing values into the 80s and potentially 90s of miles per hour. And again, that's 800 to 900 feet. So at the surface, we could be seeing winds for sure reaching those 60 mile per hour or 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And that storm is tagged for 70 mile per hour wind gusts with a considerable tag. Out in New York, we are seeing a kind of similar story as this one is tagged for 70 mile per hour wind gusts as well. I don't know if this was this was not observed, but we do have stronger winds associated with this storm here in New York, and this one is going to be for Schuyler and Tompkins counties. Is that for today? Storm Team was asking me. Yes, that is for today. Case is saying, I just realized something. The deaths from the most talked about tornadoes were mostly from the fact they had no clue there was severe weather, wasn't aware that a tornado was heading their way. Absolutely. That is why meteorology is so important, and getting the word out is so important. That's kind of the main reason we tell people, like and subscribe, because it helps us grow. It's not necessarily for our own growth. Like, obviously that's, a side part of this is that our own growth does, matter to us. But at the end of the day, the most important thing by far is being able to get that message out. As we did just get another considerable severe thunderstorm warning put in place for Will, Lake, and Porter counties down here in Illinois. And it's also going to stretch across the lake as well, where we have a special weather statement for these 60 mile per hour winds. And 70 mile per hour winds are in the forecast here now, with this considerable severe thunderstorm warning for literally everywhere just south of Chicago and south of Lake Michigan here, for like Beecher, Crown Point, Merrillville, Valparaiso, Hebron, Couts, Westville, Hammond as well. All sorts of areas densely populated down here that could be seeing 70 mile per hour wind gusts and maybe some small hail with this storm as it continues to propagate towards the east. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning out in Wyoming for some of these storms near Sundance. This is west of Spearfish here, as we are seeing some of this convection start to initiate. Any of these storms that can remain discreet and take advantage of the environment will pose the greatest risk for a possible tornado or some of that large to very large hail. I'm not expecting hail to be the biggest threat, but if there is going to be large to very large hail, it's mostly going to be with these initial storms here over the next like 2 hours or so. But we are going to mostly stay with things out here in Michigan. And I'm going to see if I can find out where Mikey is at. I don't know. I'm not seeing him showing up. It said he was in Hillsdale County on his broadcast. I don't know how accurate that actually is. We are going to have him coming in for a live hit not terribly long from now, so we can just ask him then. But he is going to be all over these storms like white on rice out here in southern Michigan. Warning fatigue is a huge issue as well. Yeah, it is definitely a pretty big issue. It is definitely a pretty big issue. Mikey is in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen right now. He's our newest signed affiliate Storm Chaser. Hasn't even been formally announced yet, as we haven't been able to get that graphic out just yet. But he is out there in Michigan right now. He'll be covering these storms and staying with any of them that remain discreet, with the potential for a isolated tornado, such as like this one near Elkhart. Really, that's the only one that has a shot at it right this second. Maybe you could say near Three Oaks, but most likely not, with these storms that are kind of in a cluster down here. Seeing a comment, forecast for Coldwater, Michigan. They are going to be getting some storms later this afternoon for sure. All these storms are coming off the lake right now and just making their way over land. Coldwater is going to get those storms at some point. So those are going to bring some gusty winds. It's also possible that one of these isolated storms gets there first. And those would pose the greater risk for any type of a hail threat and a potential spin-up tornado threat. But I'm not really expecting much in the name of any kind of a tornado threat. Is warning fatigue caused by fear mongering? No. Okay, so warning fatigue and the fear mongering effect are two different things. So warning fatigue is the idea that the National Weather Service is issuing warnings too frequently where things don't happen in some of those warnings. And then people start to not take them seriously because they're like, oh, it's a tornado warning, but the last 5 tornado warnings, nothing happened. So I'm not going to pay attention. So that's what warning fatigue relates to. Whereas fear mongering relates to the presentation of weather information, mostly from not the government and the National Weather Service, but mostly from the trusted meteorologists in the community that are just constantly telling you, oh, these storms are going to go crazy. Oh, wow, look out. Everyone's going to die. And then, you know, obviously nothing happens. They talk about these generational outbreaks all the time, and they compare every single week to April 27th, 2011. And obviously that's just not happening. And so people get desensitized. And so that fear mongering effect leads to people no longer actually paying attention to the weather because they're like, well, nothing's going to happen. Nothing ever happens when this guy gets on the screen and basically lies. So the public trust is something that is really, really important and something that's not taken lightly here at WillBrattonWx. We take it really, really seriously. We are really against the fear mongering. We don't do any of that stuff. We're really committed to doing things the right way for the community. We're not doing anything with revenue focus. We're all doing it all with the community in mind. Give me just a quick second as I am going to update our thumbnail to reflect in the world, to reflect the updated convective outlook. So you are going to see that thumbnail update in just a second here, which will now include Southern Michigan in that enhanced risk to make sure the message gets across to folks in that area. And meanwhile, areas like Flossmoor, Homewood, Country Club Hills are really getting blasted with some really strong winds right now, possibly up to 80 miles per hour. I know this storm is tagged for up to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, but if we're seeing winds at 1,000 feet in the air reaching above 90 miles per hour here. So it wouldn't shock me to see 80 mile per hour wind gusts, just 1 or 2 isolated wind gusts hitting that threshold at the surface here south of Chicago. Literally, we're like due south of downtown Chicago here right now, where some of these strongest storms are going to continue pushing off towards the east, towards Merrillville and Lake Station, Hammond as well. And of course, we are looking out for Michigan. We are going to have a live hit coming from storm chaser Mikey Plemons, or Nader Mike, that you see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen right now. We'll have a live hit coming from him eventually here. Storm team saying, my county's storm sirens even fail during storms one day. People need a NOAA weather radio for storms. I completely agree. I completely agree. If you don't have a NOAA weather radio, you should definitely have EAS notifications enabled on your cellular device. As we did just get a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning put in place here now. And this one's going to include Indiana for Elkhart, St. Joseph, Cass, and the other St. Joseph. As we have St. Joseph County, Michigan, and St. Joseph County, Indiana here that are both included in this. So again, a large swath of damaging winds is going to be rolling through Michigan and Indiana, and it's leaving Illinois right now, south of Chicago. So we are expecting these storms to just continue off in this direction, bringing really strong damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, maybe getting towards 80 miles per hour for literally this entire cluster of storms as it rolls through Michigan, Indiana, and Illinois here. It's kind of exiting Illinois right now. Again, we do have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in New York out here for Schuyler and Tompkins counties for areas like Burdett, Ithaca, Cayuga Heights, South Hills, Slaterville Springs, Freeville as well, and Dryden, excuse me. This one's bringing those 60 mile per hour winds as well. Will, I hope you don't mind me asking, what state do you broadcast from? I am from Missouri. I live in St. Louis. All right, we're going to go with the Grand Rapids radar for probably a little while here, as we're going to watch some of these isolated storms that could try to get themselves rotating potentially and produce the only isolated tornado risk that we have, as we are actually starting to see that potentially happen near Niles. So we actually have our first little area of possible rotation near Niles. I'm not expecting anything to come from this, but if we were going to get a storm that rotated and was capable of producing a tornado out here in this area, it's going to be somewhere along this line of storms, and most likely with one of the storms that fires off ahead of it that's able to sustain itself and take advantage of that environment, especially if we can get a merger or a nudger cell that can interact with one of those. Okay, we do have Mikey available for a live hit now, so we're going to go ahead and set this up really quickly so that we can have a quick conversation with Mikey. So give me just 1 second as I set that up, and we'll have a conversation here with him in just a second. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. All right. One moment here, and we're going to have a nice conversation out here with Storm Chaser Nader Mike, or Mikey Plemons, who's out in the field right now. All right, Mikey, can you hear me? How you doing?
I can hear you well.
Good.
It's a hot one out here.
Oh yeah, it's a hot one.
So currently I'm heading west towards that. I'm looking at these cells that are starting to go up ahead of the Boeing line. I think if there's going to be any slight chance of a spin-up tornado, it's going to be these. I'm liking that cell down there near Niles right now. So
yeah,
you can actually see this anvil spreading out here right in front of us. And
yeah,
a lot
you
of
can.
energy out there.
We do have you sideways at the moment, but I can see it.
Yeah, there we go. I'm used to shooting landscape.
No, I get it. It's chill. I don't know why, since you are landscape, that it didn't just put you in landscape mode instead of putting you in vertical mode, but I don't know. So yeah, you're headed to the storm near Niles, you said. That is the one we were just looking at that actually just ingested a tiny bit of mid-level rotation. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, it certainly looks the best to me. I'm probably about 35 minutes out from getting visual on it, but it can stay discreet.
I think we may have lost Mikey here, at least for a second. There he is. Can you hear me, Mikey?
Get you back. Kind of a dead zone in here.
Mm-hmm. I've got you back now. I can see that beautiful anvil loud and clear in the middle of your screen.
Yeah. No, definitely an explosive atmosphere here along this instability gradient.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the damaging wind threat's definitely going to establish itself here in the next hour.
Yep. We are seeing literally like all of these storms I'm sure you've seen are tagged considerable with 70 mile per hour winds. So easily going to see some strong winds with these for a lot of Michigan. And they did upgrade Southern Michigan to an enhanced 3 out of 5 risk.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, you can feel it out here. So
yeah. If you stick your hand out the window, for example, like what is the moisture level feeling like out there?
Let me do it.
We're getting live in the field readings here from Mikey.
There we go. So very scientific reading. Right when I put my hand out the window, instantly sweating. So
instantly sweating. Wow.
Yeah. If I were to guess, probably 73.360 degree dew points.
That's pretty specific.
Yeah. Skin can tell you a lot. So
you're actually really close. Where are you at right now? What city? Do you know?
Allen. So I think the nearest meteor would be Coldwater.
Yeah, Coldwater is a 73 degree dew point. on meteor, that was, let's see, that was less than 20 minutes ago. So that was 21 minutes ago. No, it was less than, it was 19 minutes ago. Yeah, so you are right. You are on the money there. Great guess.
Right on the dot.
Phenomenal meteorological analysis there from Mikey out there in Michigan.
That's how you get her done.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We We'll well, live eyes on this storm here within the hour for sure.
All right. Sounds good. Well, definitely if you see anything particular and you want to check in, just shoot me a message. We'll bring you back in. Stay safe out there. And we're going to have your feed in the bottom left-hand corner of the broadcast here. So everyone here is going to be following along with you. We got around 70 viewers right now hanging out and watching.
Good. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on Will's channel.
This is true. This is true. But definitely make sure you're following Mikey on all platforms, especially. He is a phenomenal storm chaser. We're lucky to have him. Super great signing here. Mikey, thank you very much. Enjoy your drive. Stay safe, and we'll chat with you soon, and we'll be watching you.
Yep. Talk to you soon, man.
Alrighty. Back to the radar. We are going to see these storms continuing to push on through into Michigan and Indiana. We have seen the considerable severe thunderstorm warning for Lockport and Joliet has been shrunken down as these storms head towards the border. They are just about to cross into Indiana within the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Legacy Adventures saying, I have to head out. See y'all later. No problem. We will see you soon. Fred saying there was a single 101 mile per hour velocity pixel near Thornton, Illinois. Yeah, I'm guessing this is what you're talking about. Some of these little bits of radar interference here out here. But these are, regardless, radar interference or not, whether this is contaminated data, we are looking at some gorgeous some powerful storms that are just crossing the border into Indiana right now. Areas like Merrillville, Hobart, Lake Station, Gary, Highland, Griffith are all getting hit right now with really strong winds or are on the verge of it. But yeah, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, Mikey is down there. We'll be following along with him as he is near Allen right now. That is here near Coldwater, right here just to the east. So Mikey is right over here, and he is going to be headed out towards these storms down the highway here. As he's going to try and go out there and get a beautiful visual on those to share with us this afternoon. He said he's about an hour away, I believe. Taylor, if you're available, you're welcome to hop in. That is up to you. There is a lot going on tonight. So we do have a total of 18 severe thunderstorm warnings on the map right now. Almost all of the considerables are stretched, well, literally all of them are stretched along this line of storms, except the one that is in New York for Schuyler and Tompkins counties near Ithaca. So this one is bringing those 60 mile per hour to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And it has been for some time now. This warning still has 17 minutes remaining on it, so it's not done just yet here. We do still have the flash flood warning down in Kentucky as well for Logan County, where we had some stronger storms not long ago that have been very, very outflow dominant. You can see this ring of outflow with all of these downbursting storms just extending in all directions as these storms just repeatedly fire off and dissipate down here in Tennessee and Kentucky. Nashville probably getting some spotty storms down there and some gusty winds as well. And then out in Georgia and Tennessee, even in North Carolina, we have a bunch of storms that are reaching severe thresholds here. One near Franklin, down through Chattanooga, where our good friend Gracie Fuller is at, and then extending all the way down almost to Atlanta. So a lot of strong storms here that could be producing some gusty winds and some small hail with some of these that could be slightly damaging here, especially this one just north of Marietta looks to me like it could be producing up to $half size hail, and it is what it is tagged for there. We can take a volumetric look at its hail core, and you can see these 60 dBz targets getting wafted upwards of 25,000 feet, inching towards 30,000 feet. So definitely a pretty strong hail core here. And this actually wasn't even looking at the best radar scan that we had. So this storm is definitely producing up to that $half or maybe that ping pong ball sized hail. Storm team saying, I'm just watching radar in standby mode. I'm waiting for 2-inch hail or greater or 80 mile per hour winds to make me go live. Yep, sounds about right. We may not get that this afternoon until maybe 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. out in the Central Plains and towards the Northern Plains. Back in Pennsylvania, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning going on as well for Tioga County. This one is just bringing some stronger winds, maybe some very small hail as well, but really just an air mass storm that is going to bring the risk for some stronger winds for areas like Blossburg, Mansfield, Sylvania, and Canton. And then out in Kentucky for Butler and Warren counties, this is out just northwest of Bowling Green near Sugar Grove. We have a stronger storm out there as well, bringing those 60-mile-per-hour winds and some smaller hail in there. I'm not really seeing much of a hail threat with that one, more just a wind threat. Let's check in on the storm actually that was in North Carolina. That one intrigues me a little bit as it is firing off not terribly far from the mountains. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as this one continues, as I believe this all of these storms really should be moving towards the west or northwest here. Yeah. So continuing to roll towards the west with these ones. The good news is that this isn't the most populated area right here near Robbinsville and Luada, but there are a lot of people still out there. And that one could bring 60-mile-per-hour winds. Alrighty. And again, southwest of Nashville, we do have a handful of storms out here that are producing some of these stronger winds and possibly some of this small to medium-sized hail out here, as these storms are both tagged for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. But it wouldn't shock me with the way these storms are shaping up and how buoyant the atmosphere seems to be that we get some hail up to $half sized, maybe inching towards ping pong ball size. Now, I will say our considerable severe thunderstorm warning near Ithaca has been downgraded to just a general severe thunderstorm warning. So no longer a risk for those 70-mile-per-hour winds there. But throughout Michigan, where Mikey is at in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, as you can see, he does have quite a beautiful view. We can go ahead and full screen him for just a second here and take a look at that view that he does have. Let's listen live into what he's hearing as well. He'd see if he's talking about anything. Okay, he's not talking about anything, but he is rolling deep here out here in Michigan as he's in cold water now, headed west towards these storms. And you can see how buoyant this environment is. So many clouds just beginning to fire off on your screen there. But back to our radar, we are continuing to track these storms that he is headed directly towards right now as they have made landfall off of Lake Michigan. They're now rolling through Michigan, bringing those 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And all of this convection that's firing off ahead of it is going to be the one that poses the risk for a potential little bit of hail and maybe the slightest tornado threat as well. Taylor asking, Will, how does your data on GR load so fast? I feel like every time I go to a new radar, it takes close to 10 minutes to load. It could just be my internet speed, and it could be your polling rate on GR Analyst. If you go to File and Configure Polling, you have to disable polling first, but it could be that. We did just get a new flash flood warning for Catoosa and Walker counties in Georgia. So this is just south of Chattanooga, and I bet that Gracie Fuller down there is covering this right now, as this area has just been getting a ton of rain. Up to 3 inches of rain have already fallen, and we are going to continue to get more in this region just south of Chattanooga in northwestern Georgia. And this is definitely a stronger storm out here. We can take a little bit of a volumetric scan of that hail core, and we can see these 50 dBz targets, some of these heavier values getting lofted to 30,000 feet. Some of those magentas, 60 plus dBz targets getting lofted to about 20,000 feet. So maybe some small hail in there as well, but nothing insane. All right, let's check back in on the storms in Michigan. That is going to be our number one concern, at least for the time being. We are going to be watching the storms that fire off in the Central Plains in areas like South Dakota and Nebraska for this afternoon, especially in about an hour from now. And I will say, if you haven't liked and subscribed, that is the number one thing that you can do to support us. And into Michigan and Indiana, we do have a couple of stronger storms that are kind of isolated, beginning to fire off ahead of the line here. I will say this one near Portage looks like it could have the potential to try and get going, as its echo tops are building very quickly, as is the storm near Springport. And actually that, like, to me really looks the most impressive, is this cell near Springport. I'm going to take a little bit of a volumetric scan here and take a look at it, as it's a very, very small storm, one of those mini supercell type storms. It does have a little bit of a sheared updraft, nothing crazy, but it is towering up very quickly. Ben asking what I'm sipping on. This is just an sparkling ice caffeinated drink thing. It's like lemon lime. It's good. Whiskey. Nope, not yet. We do have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning that is rolling through Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Portage, and eventually towards Albion. So an extension here on these storms that are continuing to blow on through Michigan and Indiana here. So we are sitting here with a total of 6 considerable severe thunderstorm warnings through Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan right now, all with this swath of damaging winds that is just going to continue to roll on through. I will say that this severe thunderstorm warning is still tagged with additional severe thunderstorms developing. So that one is definitely an area of concern as well. And I will say near Grand Rapids, they have shrunken this warning polygon to exclude areas like Allendale. So just to be a little bit better representative of what's going on with these damaging winds. All right, well, let's check in back in the southeast and into the Tennessee Valley, where these storms are continuing to bubble up like absolute crazy. You can see storms literally everywhere within the within the data region for this radar unit. I will say it looks like we might have a potential severe thunderstorm developing here near Sparta and Cookeville. That's definitely one to watch. I'm going to take a little bit of a scan on this one's hail core, as this is definitely a towering storm. This will probably get severe thunderstorm warned pretty soon here near Cookeville and Sparta. As this one is building up really, really tall here. You can see these echo tops reaching up to 57,000 feet in the air. So a particularly strong storm here. And again, this is east of Nashville near Sparta, Cookeville, Malin, Pleasant Hill, west of Crossville. Gracie in the chat saying just drove through some hail. I figured you would be live on air covering these storms in Chattanooga, where we also have a flash flood warning in place. Definitely some stronger storms out here, bringing those 60-mile-per-hour winds to your viewing area. Pressure Gracie Fuller in the chat. Everybody say hi to Gracie Fuller out there. She is a fantastic meteorologist, and she says she is actually off for the time being. And of course, out in Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana, we are watching the primary region of storms continuing to blow on through. And a lot of these storms are continuing to develop pretty rapidly here. This one near Portage and Kalamazoo is continuing to bubble up, and those echo tops continue to build. And the storm near Springport, pretty similar story, as that one looks like it continues to want to build and might be taking on that partial mini supercell morphology here near Springport. So that's definitely one to watch. Storm team saying, I have a severe thunderstorm warning in my coverage area. I've got to go. All right, sounds good. Be safe out there. Michelle in the chat saying, hi, everyone. Good to see you, Michelle. We did just get another downstream considerable severe thunderstorm warning. This time it will include Grand Rapids and the greater Grand Rapids area, really. So again, largely populated areas throughout Michigan and northern Indiana, exiting the Chicago region now, that are going to be bringing these 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and maybe some small hail as well. All of these are really going to be tagged with that 70-mile-per-hour wind. And a couple of them on the southern part of this near the Indiana border are going to be tagged with up to 1-inch hail there as well. We did just get Adrian joining us in the live room right now, as he might be getting in on a couple of live hits as well to give us some updates on the environment, some of those mesoscale analysis pieces that we can't look at when we're sitting here staring at the radar. Adrian, that link is in the live hits chat for whenever that time comes. As we are looking like we are going to be fully leaving the state of Illinois with these considerable severe thunderstorms in just a couple minutes, as the last remaining bit is near Crete, Willowbrook, and Steger right now. Also Stock Village, crossing over towards St. John on the Indiana side and Crown Point. So we will be seeing we will be no longer seeing a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, or any severe thunderstorm warning for that matter, in the state of Illinois within about 5 minutes here. Sturgis, Michigan, stay safe, everyone. We have in the chat from Dominic Fergie. Yeah, these are some strong storms that are rolling through all of the southern part of Michigan here, from Grand Rapids all the way to the Indiana border, and even extending into South Bend, Indiana, where unfortunately we are seeing that the Webster radar is down. But we have possibly a storm here that's taken on that supercellular morphology just south of South Bend and Mishawaka, heading towards Elkhart. Gracie saying there are some power outages already in southeast Tennessee. So that's definitely interesting, as again, we do have a new flash flood warning now that's in place here in Hamilton County, Tennessee, for Chattanooga itself. There has been a lot of lightning with these storms as well. I can go ahead and turn on the lightning and see if I can get it. Looks like maybe it's not going to want to load. There it is. Yeah, so we got plenty of lightning going on down here in these storms that are near Chattanooga and northwestern Georgia as well, crossing into Tennessee. And just in general, look how much lightning is going on all around the map here. So many storms throughout all of the northern half of Alabama, Mississippi, northwestern Georgia, and really just the entire central Tennessee region, even inching up towards Bowling Green, Kentucky, where we have a couple of stronger storms there as well. We did end up getting that severe thunderstorm warning I talked about that we would need near Cookeville. So that one is now in place for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail as well. And then up in Bowling Green, we can look from the Hopkinsville radar unit and see that near Morgantown here, we're definitely looking at a stronger storm that could be producing some small hail and some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well. Weather Wisdom in the chat saying, hello, good to see you, Weather Wisdom. Torcast talking about, very true, here in South Georgia, we have received accumulative snow for the last 2 winters. But Tennessee is a sweet spot for all forms of weather. Yeah, Tennessee's awesome. I do love Tennessee. Yeah, Gracie saying there is tons of cloud to ground lightning over there in the southeastern Tennessee region near Chattanooga. And that doesn't surprise me. Again, these are a lot of strong thunderstorms here, and even down towards the northwestern suburbs of Atlanta. I guess not really the suburbs, pretty far out, as you know, we're all the way past Kennesaw and Marietta here, but near areas like Cartersville and Rome, we can see a couple of stronger storms out here that could be producing some small hail. These updrafts don't look particularly impressive. This one here maybe could be producing some small hail to the east of Rome, near Shannon. So generally some stronger thunderstorms really all throughout the southeast here right now. Back into Michigan, you are seeing Mikey Plemons in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. He is near Coldwater, or now probably near Bronson, as he's headed down towards these storms that he is going to stay with. As we can go ahead and full screen him and see what he's seeing for a moment here. Turn his audio on, as it looks like he is pointing himself right at one of these storms. Just kind of, you can see that mesoscale lowering in the center of your screen there.
All right.
So definitely a bit of a mesoscale lowering in the middle of your screen, where if we were going to get a wall cloud with this storm, it would start to lower out of there. You can see near those trees in the middle, like literally dead center in the middle of the screen, you'll see that lowering going on as we are getting a little bit of buffering from his feed. Yeah, it looks like we may have actually lost his feed for a moment here. So we're going to go back to the radar for at least for a moment, as his feed is still rolling, but having a couple of connection issues. But yeah, Mikey's got an incredible shot, so definitely stay with that in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Some of these, or one of these severe thunderstorm warnings has just been downgraded from considerable to just a general severe thunderstorm warning. So no longer posing the risk for those 70-mile-per-hour winds, but still posing the risk for 60-mile-per-hour winds. And this is near South Bend, Elkhart, Edwardsburg, Cassopolis, headed towards Constantine and White Pigeon, where you're already seeing a couple of storms out ahead of the line firing off in your area if you're near Constantine, Sturgis, and Centerville. Of course, we did see Dominic Fergie in the chat earlier out of Sturgis talking about staying safe out there. We did just get a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning north of Jackson. This is for that Springport cell that was looking concerning to me earlier. It is tagged with 70-mile-per-hour winds and up to 1-inch hail. And it does look like it's taking on that mini supercell type of signature to it, where if we were going to get a tornado, it could be with this cell. But it's not convincing right this second by any stretch. Torcast saying, doing good, watching my favorite stream thus far. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It does mean a lot. Cruz, I see you in the chat. How you doing? We just got a new, or an updated severe thunderstorm warning down in Kentucky. We're going to jump on down there, as this one's been shrunken down significantly here. It's now just including basically Dunmore and southwest of Belton. We also have some stronger storms still ongoing near Rochester, Huntsville, Cool Springs, Aberdeen, Morgantown, and Cromwell up here in Kentucky. And of course, look at what you're seeing with these outflow boundaries on radar. It is really, really impressive the way all of these air mass storms just fire off, dissolve, and just are kicking off tons of wind. There's so much instability and buoyancy in the atmosphere for all of these to work with. So some very, very strong storms out there for sure. And of course, we're watching down here in Georgia as well. Plenty of storms. One near Rome that looks like it could be producing some up to $half size hail, maybe inching towards ping pong ball size hail. Near Chattanooga, a very electrically active storm with a lot of lightning and heavy rain. A couple flash flood warnings in place there for Catoosa and Walker counties in Georgia and Hamilton County in Tennessee. Out in Wyoming, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, or rather a pair of them in place. One near Hulett and the other one near Upton, Osage, and Four Corners south of Sundance. Out here in South Dakota is kind of where the main risk is going to begin to develop for these storms that will be capable of producing that large to very large hail and perhaps a tornado or two. In northwestern Nebraska near Hay Springs and Rushville, we do have our first discrete cell that's fired off. This one does have some weak upper level rotation going on, nothing crazy with it. We'll continue to watch these over the next hour or two. We will be live for about 2.5 hours. Around 5:45 or 6 p.m., I will unfortunately have to head out for the evening. Sounds good, Adrian. As Mikey does, he did have a wall cloud about 5 minutes ago, apparently lowered out of this lowering that we were looking at. I mentioned that if we were going to have a wall cloud, it would come out of that lowering. He did notify me that he did have a wall cloud, at least for a minute there. We can see his spotter dot here on the map. I'll go ahead and put him in the corner again for a second so you can see. There's Mikey's spotter dot on the map. He's just west of Coldwater here. And so he's staring right at one of these storms. I'm guessing he's looking to the northwest near Sherwood. So we're going to go ahead and full screen him as he is getting mobile. We're going to continue to watch what he does for the next couple of minutes here. Oh, he's actually listening to our broadcast. He's staring right at one of these storms, which is kind of funny. I'm guessing he's looking to the northwest near Sherwood. That's so funny. I could hear my own voice. As he is getting mobile, we're gonna continue to watch what he does for the next couple of minutes here. Oh, he's actually listening to our broadcast.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we are a couple of seconds behind real time with him here.
Cloud there for a minute with visible rotation, left to right rotation actually. So kind of quite surprised.
Yeah, and you can see that bell lowering there on the left side of your screen. I know we're getting a little bit of buffering here, but on the left side of your screen, you can see that like very, very, I don't know how to describe it. It's raggedy. We have a very raggedy bell lowering there. So not super robust, but clearly we had an attempt to put a robust wall cloud together there not long ago.
As I can. This road ends, so I'm gonna have to take an east and then a left again. See if this thing tries to do something funky here.
Yeah, Mikey is in Michigan near Coldwater right now. I think he's looking north towards the cell near Sherwood, where he did have a wall cloud not long ago, as that one looks like it has a little bit of rotation going on. None of the cells look insanely impressive, but the Indiana radar is down, so we're looking pretty high in the atmosphere at these storms. All right, we did just have a destructive severe thunderstorm warning put in place here for Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, and Albion, as these storms are now tagged for 80-mile-per-hour winds. As you can see, with these, we are seeing some stronger winds. This must have been observed here. Yeah, a 79-mile-per-hour wind was reported at the Kalamazoo airport. So this is actually pretty impressive here. These storms are really, really kicking out some intense winds as they're rolling through Kalamazoo, Portage, Vicksburg, and eventually towards Battle Creek, Athens, and Homer. So that is our first destructive severe thunderstorm warning on the map this evening, as these are some very, very strong storms continuing to plow through southern Michigan right now. Northwest of Jackson, that Springport storm is still looking decent as well to me. It does have a little bit of rotation going on at the lower levels here. It's not, anything crazy impressive at all, but that's definitely one to watch northwest of Jackson. And make sure that we're staying with Mikey in the bottom left of your screen. I'm going to full screen him again for a second, as we can actually see that bell. It looks like it might be trying to recycle. So it's kind of lifted back up into the clouds a little bit, but on the right-hand side, just really, really faint in the middle right-hand side of your screen, you can see a little bit of a lowering in that sharp, like Dorito chip looking point that is down there. So it looks like maybe that bell lowering is starting to try to redevelop. We're going to keep Mikey down there in the corner. I'm actually going to keep his audio on, and I'm just going to keep it pretty quiet, so if he says anything, we'll be able to hear it. And make sure that we can jump down there pretty quickly. I'm going to check, while Mikey's looking at that, I'm going to check in on all of these storms down here through Kentucky, down into Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama. We haven't looked at Mississippi in a while, so I'll check in there in a second. But I do just want to continue to reiterate over and over again that this outflow boundary showing up this prevalent on radar is really, really impressive, as these storms are just continuing to fire off and then dissipate and kick out really strong winds as that mass plummets to the surface and pushes out in all directions. Really, really impressive storms throughout Kentucky and Tennessee there. Back into central Tennessee, our Cookeville storm still is kicking. A volumetric scan, let's take a little larger here. Volumetric scan here shows that one of these updrafts is reaching above 40,000 feet with 50 plus dBz values. That is going to be just west of Cookeville. Southwest of Cookeville, I should say. And then down near Chattanooga, we are seeing these flash flood warnings still in place and still a ton of lightning active with these storms out here. And really all of these storms out here near Pulaski and Cornersville, Linville in Tennessee, tons of electricity going on with those. In Sparta, that storm is extremely electrically active. And then up northwest of Bowling Green near Morgantown, Kentucky, that storm is very electrically active as well. We are going to check in on what's going on in Mississippi, as we do have more storms beginning to fire off in northern Mississippi, especially northeastern Mississippi near Tupelo and Iuka, where Adrian is based out of. I bet Adrian's probably got some storms out there right now. In southern Mississippi near Jackson, we have a couple of storms firing off, and you can see even these weaker storms firing off near Jackson right now are kicking out these outflow boundaries. All of these storms are going to be able to push out up to 60-mile-per-hour winds pretty hard here. And then in central Alabama, some more storms going on near Anniston, northeast of Talladega. And then back into Georgia, we are seeing storms all around the Atlanta area. Maybe some more that are actually going to roll into Atlanta here, not in the too distant future. As you can see, Mikey in the bottom left on your screen actually wearing some of his own merch out there. So that's cool to see. We're going to try and stay as up to date with him as possible. I'm trying to keep refreshing him so that we know when he is live at all time, or when he's moving, and we can stay as live as possible with him at all times. Near Athens, Tennessee and Riceville, it did look like we had a little bit of a stronger storm starting to bubble up here. As you can see, these magenta values inching in at around 25,000 feet here with this storm. So a stronger updraft beginning to form there in Tennessee as well. All sorts of strong storms just really all over the place. We do have a whopping 31 severe thunderstorm warnings on the map right now, and that's going to include areas into the northeast like Pennsylvania, and then all the way back through the southeast into the Midwest and even through Wyoming. And I think we still have that storm in Nebraska and Sheridan County out there as well. We did just get an upgrade to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning not long ago back in New York for Broome County and Susquehanna counties through New York and Pennsylvania here. That's for Binghamton, headed down through Conklin and the Susquehanna Depot. South of Windsor as well. These storms are definitely looking pretty strong here. Could be producing some hail as well, especially near Conklin. We're in a little bit of a radar hole, but we can see some of these stronger magenta values getting to 25,000 feet. That is your 60 plus DBZ value. So definitely seeing some hail in these. This storm itself is tagged for 70-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail. So you can see it. We can hear Mikey listening to our feed down there. It looks like we might actually have somebody. It might be Adrian. Okay, no. So Mikey is ready for a live hit here. So we're going to go ahead and tap in with Mikey here in just a second. Give me 1 second to pull that scene. Let me grab his link. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, and we are going to get Mikey live on air. You see his feed in the bottom left. Let's hear from him directly here now. Mikey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, how are you? What are you seeing out there?
So I'm just to the west of Coldwater, Michigan, north of US 12. You can see I'm looking at a beautiful sculpted storm. I may even be able to call it a supercell here. Beautiful updraft. You can see this towering super high. Then we have some interesting features here at the surface. You can actually see a little bit of rising scud, well, just in front of me. But I have a tough decision to make because I have this storm to my south that's absolutely electric. Looks a little bit better on radar as well. But I also have a destructive warrant squall line coming in from the west. So I'm trying to decide if I want to go north to the most severe part of that line, or if I want to gamble with any slight spin up chances to my south.
So what do you think about the storm up near Springport, northwest of Jackson as well? That one looked like it might be becoming supercellular. It's got a little bit of rotation in there.
Okay, so I'm out of range for that, but I think you can actually see that right in front of me here. You see that bubbling anvil. This is looking to the northeast, like you said.
Yeah.
So definitely an explosive updraft over there. Would not be surprised looking at it visually. Really stout anvil.
Yeah, it does look pretty nice on radar. That's a really cool visual that you're giving us. I don't know if any of these will become tornadic. It would surprise me. At most, we'd maybe see like one tornado out of all of this, but we could definitely see it. I mean, we've already seen a wall cloud on your feed and some of these storms gaining structure. And since there's so much convection, it might actually be to our benefit to have a messier storm mode, as we could get a little bit of a nudger action to create a little bit of mesoscale magic for you out there.
Yeah, and you talk about structure. You can see that right in front of me. You can see we're starting to get a little bit of a you can see the curvature up there. You can see the striations almost there in the updraft. And then this neat little feature down here just underneath it with even like visually, it's really odd because it looks like it has an RFD cut. even in there as well. I don't know if you can see that too great. Don't know what the resolution's like, but
Yeah, I
pretty
bet you they can see it on stream. It's just a little small on my second monitor, but I bet you they can see it really good on stream there.
pretty interesting. I don't know if I can zoom in. Oh, I kind of can. See,
Oh
almost
yeah.
looks almost looks like a cut in there. So
Yeah, definitely possible.
interesting. I don't know how to zoom out, but all right. I'm gonna let you go and get to the chase here. I'll keep that live feed going.
All right, brother. We'll be following you in the bottom left-hand corner of the broadcast. Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you soon.
Good man.
Alrighty, we are back here on the radar here. And so if you're wondering where Mikey is right this minute, he is here just west of Coldwater in the center of your screen. That's his dot. I know it's probably hard to read. Looking at this cell, he was talking about the one to his southwest. That is down this direction. I'll zoom out and show you that here. As that cell just south of Bronson, southwest of Coldwater, he's trying to make the decision on which one of those he likes best. There's also the cell near Cologne that actually doesn't look half bad as well. We can see a little bit of that rotation east of Sherwood, south of Union City that produced the wall cloud Mikey was looking at not terribly long ago. So a bunch of different storms out here for Mikey to pick from. We're going to continue to watch him in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. So definitely make sure, it seems like he's buffering a little bit there. That could be on our end. I'm going to try and keep him live as much as possible. Yep, and it looks like we are back on the move there with Mikey as he does have a good shot at what might be maybe a little bit of hail pulling through in that storm. It looks like a little bit of white on the left-hand side. I'm not sure if that is sunlight peeking through or not, as it's pretty small on my second monitor here. But yeah, definitely still a pretty strong storm there that Mikey is dealing with. We're going to check in on what's going on again down here in the southeast, as we just have tons of storms continuing to fire off. Out in the Chattanooga area, those storms have begun to dissipate. Still a lot of rain and lightning there. Near Dayton and Athens, Tennessee, we are still seeing a stronger storm out there capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds. Our Cookeville storm is still producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and some hail. It also has a tiny bit of rotation in there as well, so that's something to watch. It appears, though, that is... No, okay, that is... So it does have some cyclonic rotation there, interestingly, on the north side of that storm. Out near Murfreesboro, we do have a stronger storm out there as well, producing 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some pea-sized hail. Nothing crazy out there. And all around Nashville, just tons of storms all over the place. We did just see one severe thunderstorm warning get lifted there west of Nashville near Dixon. And then in northern Mississippi, we're still seeing a couple of stronger storms as well, but they are beginning to weaken. So Mississippi might be in the clear, at least with the initial storms that we had earlier, but it looks like down in southern Mississippi, more storms beginning to fire off along the outflow boundary of our previous storms. So lots going on out here throughout the country. Even down in Louisiana, we're seeing some thunderstorms all over the place, west of Baton Rouge and east of Lake Charles. And we're going to jump back to the northeast and check in on our storms here in Pennsylvania, as we do have a handful of discrete cells. In fact, really potentially supercellular in nature. This cell headed towards Solidasburg here. So a couple of stronger storms for sure. And Susquehanna County out here for this considerable severe thunderstorm that is heading out of New York and crossing into Pennsylvania. That is definitely one to watch as well. As I thought we were in a radar hole, it just didn't want to choose that radar. Perhaps the Binghamton radar was down earlier. But we are definitely looking at a couple of stronger storms here, and you can see these 60 dBz magenta values getting up to around 20,000 feet. So nothing insanely impressive in terms of hail, but definitely strong winds with these storms. As we can look at our velocities here at 1,000 feet, we're seeing values reaching up to 60 miles per hour sustained. So definitely some very strong storms headed towards the Susquehanna depot. Yeah, what's up, Adrian? All right, so Adrian's telling me about these storms firing off in southwestern Kansas here near the Oklahoma Panhandle, where the conditions could become favorable for some large hail over the next 30 minutes or so. So that's definitely something to watch. When we look from the Rapid City radar unit, though, we can see a considerable severe thunderstorm warning has been placed on this formerly severe thunderstorm warning here for Upton, Osage, and Four Corners in Wyoming, just across the border west of Rapid City in Wyoming. So a stronger storm here that is definitely capable of producing up to 2-inch hail. We can see that hail core is looking quite juicy when we take a volumetric scan here. Up to 30,000 feet, even just above, we're seeing those magenta 60 dBz values getting lofted here. So some very, very powerful buoyancy in this region and steep mid-level lapse rates that are conducive for producing that hail. Are those storms in Tennessee coming to Evansville, Indiana? In general, no. Not in Tennessee. The ones down in Kentucky could eventually make their way up there, but they're not really moving much. Most of these storms are air mass storms that are just going to pop up and then collapse. Yeah, we do. I see Weather Wisdom in the chat. We do have that on our thumbnail updated for that enhanced risk that is down here in Michigan. I can go ahead and put that on, and we can see that orange outline you're seeing on the map here for Detroit, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Pontiac, Kalamazoo, Jackson, Charlotte, all sorts of areas down here in the southern LP. We do still have a destructive severe thunderstorm warning in place for 80-mile-per-hour winds, and that one's going to last for another hour as this line of storms in the smaller cells that are firing out ahead of it continue to propagate to the east. These are now rolling out of Kalamazoo and towards Battle Creek, Marshall. They're kind of just riding along the highway here, eventually towards Jackson as they go pretty much due east. We have a couple of stronger storms as well, just northwest of Jackson. This one that originally came out of Springport here that is now near Rives Junction definitely looks like it's trying to take on a supercellular shape in nature, but it's not looking terribly conducive for tornadoes right now. We do see Mikey still in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen as he is out here in southern Michigan, as he right now is continuing to ride the highway back towards Coldwater. He's going to follow these storms, and he's got good options here as he has two different storms, one to his north, one to his south, and he can pick from those to try and figure out which one is going to look better in terms of getting us a view on those storms. So he'll be out there. You can continue to follow along with him in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Disney Fan Before asking, why did the slight risk get put back into Milwaukee when local meteorologists said we are done seeing storms here? I guess it would probably be for a little bit later this evening. I'm not exactly sure why we would be seeing a slight risk in Milwaukee. It's probably just for some isolated storms here. I can't look through the latest model runs to give you a good definitive answer, but definitely this morning when I looked, it looked like a couple of those storms could fire off in the general southern Wisconsin area. And as they kind of move to the southeast a little bit, we could have seen some of those reach severe thresholds near areas like Milwaukee, for example. So it's definitely possible that we see an erroneous storm fire off in that area. If we do get a storm that fires off in that area, we definitely could see one of those storms reach severe thresholds because the environment's decently favorable. So the probability of seeing storms is probably pretty low. The probability of a storm that you do see becoming severe would be a little bit higher, though, if that makes sense. Maybe an anomaly, but seeing a brief TVS near Hazel Green, Alabama. Okay, we'll drop down into Alabama. I'm not expecting any of these storms to really become severe. I don't know which of these storms is near Hazel Green, as I don't know exactly where that is. I'm guessing it's up near Huntsville. I'll go to the Huntsville radar here. Let's take a look-see. Okay, there's Hazel Green. I'm not really seeing anything indicative of strong rotation here near Hazel Green at all. So I'm not entirely sure. At 1628. Oh, so that was a little while ago. Okay, we could pull back a couple of frames and take a look at that and see if there was something we missed a little while ago. I'm guessing this is what you're referring to. Maybe just a little bit of really weak broad rotation at around 1,400 feet here. I'm not seeing anything that's screaming out to me like we would have had a tornado with this though. But I do see what you're talking about. It's just definitely doesn't scream out to me like we would have had a tornado here, or even really could have had one. You do see these winds spreading out in multiple directions here, as we have near Plevna and Hazel Green. We most certainly have a microburst with these winds. I do completely agree with you, Adrian. This is most certainly a microbursting scenario, as you can see this storm begin to develop, and you can see it expand out to both the east and the west as it's kicking out those winds in both directions and lofting more air up, more moisture up into the air. It's just acting as a wedge. And we can see these velocities really spread out over a couple of radar scans here. You're going to watch them just continue to spread out in both of these directions as I go forward a couple of scans. So a little bit of a downbursting storm there for sure. And that is the main threat with all of these storms in the southeast, as we've been talking about today, as all of these storms are going to have that risk for damaging winds associated with downbursting, but these are all going to be localized events. We could see some small hail with these as well, but again, I'm not expecting anything particularly concerning. I do want to check in on the storm near Cave Spring though, as that one looks like it could maybe try to take on a little bit of rotation. It doesn't look good right now though, as it looks like Mikey is perhaps doing a little bit of a core punch here, maybe to try and get himself in a better position. I'm going to check in on where he is, as it looks like he might be going west to this larger storm. So he might just be driving through this storm, headed west towards the Centerville storm. So we will see what happens with Mikey there. I will say west of Jackson, however, it does look like we might have a little bit of hail beginning to fall near Parma. Wouldn't be large hail, but definitely could have some hail there. This considerable severe thunderstorm warning is tagged for 1-inch hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. There are plenty of storms up here conducive for 70-mile-per-hour winds, potentially even up to 80-mile-per-hour winds, as we had a 79-mile-per-hour wind gust measured not terribly long ago near Kalamazoo. And now these storms are just continuing to push on through Battle Creek, Marshall, Albion, and eventually towards Jackson out here in the southern LP of Michigan. We're going to check in on the storms out in Nebraska, though. For Sheridan County, we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning, as this one was really taking on that supercell morphology not terribly long ago. It does look like it's trying to recycle, and it looks like it maybe had two competing updrafts here, at least at one point. Definitely producing some hail, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one get considerable tagged for up to golf ball sized hail. It is tagged with ping pong ball sized hail right now. So definitely something to watch near Hay Springs, Rushville, and Clinton. The storm is not really moving much. It's just kind of sitting here. So we'll continue to monitor it closely. West of Rapid City, near Four Corners, Upton, and Osage, we still have this storm out here, maybe with a tiny bit of rotation going on near Osage, but nothing particularly concerning for tornadic development as of right this second anyway. But definitely producing some hail and gusty winds. This is tagged for 2-inch hail. And I wouldn't be shocked to see gusty winds with it as well, perhaps not reaching severe thresholds, maybe getting up to 60 miles per hour. Northwest of Bismarck in North Dakota, we do have another cluster of storms firing off that could be producing some small to medium-sized hail. Nothing crazy with this one. It is tagged for 1-inch hail and 60 mile per hour winds here. This is in western North Dakota, northwest of Bismarck. Do you expect, if we get storms, that they could be as strong as they were earlier in Wisconsin? I don't know exactly what storms you had earlier in Wisconsin, but it wouldn't shock me to see 60 mile per hour winds if any storms can fire off out there. Our considerable severe thunderstorm warning out here for Conklin and Windsor has been downgraded down to a general severe thunderstorm warning. So these winds have weakened a little bit, as you can see over the last couple of scans. They have downtrended, which is good news. So a less concerning situation down here near Conklin and eventually through Hancock and Thompson. Back into the Tennessee region. Again, I am trying to stay with this area a lot because there's so much widespread convection going on out here through literally all of central Tennessee, even through East Tennessee, down into northern Alabama, northwestern Georgia, and northeastern Mississippi. So definitely something to watch. We did get a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning, I believe, out here. Yeah, we did. We just got a new one downstream towards Clarksville, Saranac, and Portland here in Michigan. So this is now for 70 mile per hour winds, as well as we are seeing this bowing segment, or we're seeing the segment in general begin to bow out a little bit. So this middle area near Kalamazoo is going to pose the greatest risk for those strongest wind gusts. And we will see any storms that fire off just ahead of the line could undergo some mesoscale interactions like the one near Coldwater right now where Mikey is headed to. This one definitely could see a little bit of a mesoscale interaction here that ends up making it conducive for tornadoes, as Mikey is actually headed north on this thing right now. I will say the one to the south is looking okay, just south of Coldwater there. So we're going to definitely stay with Mikey to see what happens. He is in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen as he's trying to get towards clearer air right now. He may be going up north to chase the wind threat. Yeah, tons of storm spotters all over the place. Of course, Mikey is our only storm chaser that we have signed out there right now, but this bowing segment is continuing to blow all the way through Indiana and Michigan. Anywhere in this box is probably going to be seeing some stronger storms and potentially 60, 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour wind gusts, especially in this region down here for those 80 mile per hour wind gusts. Or maybe this is a little bit better of a box to draw on the map. And if you haven't already, liking and subscribing is the number one thing you can do to support our coverage. I know there's a lot of folks out in the chat right now, so if there are any requests for areas you want us to take a look at, definitely let me know, and we'll continue to stay with that. I am going to go ahead and full screen Mikey right now for at least a second here, as he is really in the thick of it, driving through some of these, or driving through this stronger storm here, just northwest of Coldwater near Sherwood. You can hear all that rain just battering his windshield. This isn't a particularly, extremely strong storm. In his area, we're not seeing any crazy wind values, not seeing those major severe gusts, but I'm going to assume that he's heading north to try and get to those 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts to his north. Okay, sounds good, Adrian. All right, back to the radar here. We do have, again, can you show the iOS alert settings I sent to you in Discord? I don't know if I know what you are talking about. Yeah, I didn't get a oh, you pinged me in the general chat. Okay. Well, yeah, sure, I can show it. Why not? So if you want to turn on notifications for emergency alerts on your phone, this is what you're looking for on iOS. So you want to go to all sorts of these settings down here for emergency alerts, and you'll want to enable all of these for severe weather, and you'll want to put on imminent threat alerts. You'll want to put on emergency alerts. Always play the sound if you want that. You can also disable Amber alerts if you don't want them. You can disable test alerts. You can, configure all of your alert settings here on iOS in your settings. So it's a really good way to make sure that you can get good alerts for severe weather if it is coming to you in your area. All right, so a couple of these severe thunderstorm warnings on the southern part of our Boeing segment here through northern Indiana and the southernmost parts of Michigan have been downgraded from a considerable severe thunderstorm warning to just a general severe thunderstorm warning. These storms could still be producing some gusty winds, though. And again, I will say the storm south of Coldwater does look not half bad for potentially becoming tornadic. So that's going to be one to watch pretty closely here. It's headed towards Reading, and right now it's southeast of Bronson, south of Coldwater. Okay, sounds good. And I'm going to check your text here in a second. All right, and out here we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in Montana. This one is interesting. It does look like it might be a micro supercell here, as it's a really, really small cell, but it looks like it does have mid-level rotation going on. And this one's south of Grass Range in Montana. We're going to check in on this stronger storm down here in Nebraska that was looking like it could also become tornadic eventually. It needs time to recycle for sure, but definitely could be producing up to ping pong ball size hail, maybe even getting towards golf ball size hail. To be honest with you, I'm slightly surprised they haven't put a considerable severe thunderstorm warning on that one. Meanwhile, our considerable severe thunderstorm warning near Upton, Osage, and Four Corners in Wyoming, west of Rapid City, South Dakota, has been downgraded to a general severe thunderstorm warning. So literally every single considerable or destructive severe thunderstorm warning right now is in the state of Michigan, specifically in the southern part of the lower peninsula down here. So we do have what we're looking at here to be 5 considerable severe thunderstorm warning polygons and 1 destructive severe thunderstorm warning polygon. And that destructive is for a up to 80 mile per hour wind gust, where we did see a 79 mile per hour wind gust measured near Kalamazoo not terribly long ago. Yeah, Adrian, I think I can probably stay pretty close with the Michigan setup here. And then if you stay with the plains and let me know when stuff starts to get going there, because it's probably going to be within an hour here that things really start to get going in the plains. Marcus, I see you in the chat. Good to see you. Welcome back. All right. We're going to check in. Let's see. Logan in the chat saying, I think there might be multiple areas of rotation in New York. Okay, we'll give it a check. We'll give it a check as there is stuff going on all over the map. I will say we definitely have at least some rotation going on at the upper levels north of Rochester over the lake. So that's interesting. Some broad, weakish, mid-level rotation going on there. Over the lake, maybe you could see a water spout. Okay, out here in New York, we're going to check in on these storms and see if you're right. Maybe very broad areas of rotation, nothing that is wrapping up in any type of way down here. Go up in the tilt angles a little bit. Yeah, maybe some broad mid-level rotation, nothing crazy. I know this is in Pennsylvania, or at least just beginning to get into Pennsylvania. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in Jersey, by the way. I can go ahead and take a look at that. As that one is tagged for 60 mile per hour winds and 1 inch hail. Hi from Cherry Creek. Again, we didn't get flooded. Good. I love to hear that. All right, in Pennsylvania as well, tons of storms out here that are beginning to rotate just slightly at the mid-levels here. West of Williamsport and north of Williamsport, as well as near Forksville and New Albany. All of these are really just going to be bringing a wind threat for the most part. The one near Williamsport has the best rotation of them, but it's not. It's anticyclonic anticyclonic rotation that I don't think is going to be very concerning. Another cell is firing off near Watsontown, though. And these are all tracking to the southeast. So all sorts of storms are just going to continue to bowl on through New York and eventually into New Jersey. We already have a few storms in Jersey as well. Eventually getting to the big city. You think Taylor Swift's wedding will get a tornado? I have no idea where that is. But no. We got a Jersey girl in the chat. That's awesome. All right, we're going to go back to Michigan. We're going to focus a lot of our effort here in Michigan as Mikey is down there now. We're going to check in on his position as he is making his way to the north. And I think he's going to try and eventually go east here and stay ahead of these really gusty winds. He might be able to pick up on them if he can get north of them near areas like Homer or Albion, as these winds are definitely very strong still, potentially up to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, especially in this corridor right here that I'm highlighting in white, which is going to continue through this direction here towards Homer and Albion. Oh, Taylor Swift's wedding's in New York City? I hate to break it to you guys, but I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan. Like, I'm not a Taylor Swift hater. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not a Taylor Swift fan by any stretch. Some of her older stuff is really good. Some of her new stuff's all right too. She went through a phase for a long time where I didn't really like her music. My opinion doesn't really matter though. She's still widely popular for a reason. She's extremely talented. That's just my personal taste though. But again, these storms are going to continue all the way through Michigan, Indiana, eventually maybe towards Ohio, definitely at least for Toledo, Ohio. And eventually these are going to hit the greater Detroit area as well. It's at the stadium in New York City. Well, there's a lot of stadiums. Wherever the Knicks just won. Madison Square Garden? It's at Madison Square Garden? That's crazy. That's a really expensive wedding. While effective shear in the Nebraska or in the Northeast, I'm assuming you mean the Northeast, is around 10 to 15 knots. 0 to 3 kilometer shear is around 20 knots, meaning potential for organized severe storms were a possibility. Good example of bulk wind and differences. Yeah, those values are still pretty low, which is probably why we're not seeing any robust storms getting going there. Just some scattered general thunderstorms, maybe producing some small hail and mostly just a wind gust threat as they dissipate. It's crazy how I think tomorrow you will wear red. What do you mean by that? Yeah, Taylor, you're not wrong. She is a billionaire. If I was a billionaire, I'd probably have my wedding there too. No, that's not true. I would not. I would not have my wedding there. I will say some of these winds back further north along this line near Lake Odessa, Woodland, and Vermontville are starting to ramp up again. So it would not surprise me to see some of these getting upwards or getting upgraded to a destructive tag at some point if we get any kind of a wind measure here. And I don't think we've had any measured winds with any of these storms on the northern part. But all right, what's up, Adrian? Oh, yeah. Was this a left split from earlier, or is this two separate cells? Oh, yeah, it was. Okay, so there was an earlier cell south of Hugoton, and then we just had a left split here. So this cell near Richfield right now has some strong anticyclonic rotation going on here. Actually, I don't think that's anticyclonic. I think that's cyclonic, but it was a left split. I mean, I think that's counterclockwise, but it was definitely a left split. You're not wrong. Although it looks like that rotation has weakened a bit on the latest scan. Yeah, that was definitely, I think that was definitely cyclonic rotation. But yeah, this is a strong storm out here northwest of Hugoton. That's what Adrian's just telling me about to check in here. It's not severe thunderstorm warned. It did have some stronger rotation here just a second ago. And it still does have a little bit of rotation. It was a left split, or at least it looked like a left split anyway. So I'm kind of surprised that it is cyclonic and not anticyclonic. Same. Okay, let me take a look at it. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, at the upper levels here at around 15,000 feet, you can see this thing is rotating really, really strong. So this, again, this is pretty upper level stuff here that we're looking at. Good shout on those tilt angles, Adrian. So a pretty strong rotating storm at the mid to upper levels. If that momentum transfer can work its way down towards the surface, we will definitely see this one become tornadic. I don't know how surface-based it is, though. Let me turn on METAR and see what those dew points are like in the area. I can get some METAR to load. To be determined. And then after this, we'll check in on the northern and central plains, like the north central plains, and go back to Michigan after that. Looks like my METAR doesn't want to load, so that's fine. We'll jump up to Nebraska here for a second. What is going on with the Goodland radar? Why is the Goodland radar on the latest scan only producing 3 tilt angles? Interesting. Anyway, Not relevant. What is relevant is that out here in northwestern Nebraska, this storm is definitely becoming a pretty decent hail producer here. We don't have the latest volumetric scan. This is from a couple of minutes ago. You can see it was launching those 60 dBz values, those magentas up to 30,000 feet. And now you're seeing here, this is at 11,000 feet in the air. So we're in a radar hole, 11,000 feet in the air. We are getting those silvers and grays, those 70 plus dBz values starting to get thrown into the mix, up to 72 dBzs, it looks like here. So a very, very strong storm that could be producing up to golf ball size hail. Again, this would not shock me if we saw a considerable tag for golf ball size hail put on the storm, even 2-inch hail potentially. Jumping back over to Michigan, these storms are continuing to plow. And it looks like the winds near Marshall, just southwest of Marshall, are really ramping up. So we could definitely see those 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, but this has been downgraded to a considerable from a destructive. So we no longer have a destructive severe thunderstorm that is tagged for 80 mile per hour winds, but this is still a very strong storm. Okay. Adrian is letting me know that over the next like hour or two, we are definitely going to be looking at southeastern South Dakota near like Rapid City. Might be one of our most favorable corridors for tornadoes. So as those storms continue to get going, we're going to watch them closely. And these winds are really uptrending here near Marshall. We're looking at about 4,000 feet in the air, but we're seeing sustained winds upwards of 60 miles per hour here on some of these pixels. So definitely some very strong storms here. Could easily be seeing gusts up to 70 miles per hour. And again, it wouldn't shock me if we still saw an isolated gust that made it closer to 80 miles per hour. But I don't have an issue with them downgrading to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning here, as we haven't had anything above 70 miles per hour that has been registered in like a half hour or so. Or maybe an hour. It's been a little while. I'm just messing with Ben in the chat here, our editor who does a phenomenal job. No, you guys are more than free to discuss music. In the chat, I am a big music head myself. You can see the pair of guitars behind me. Alrighty. Peach in the chat saying, I imagine there was a strict rule to only talk weather. No, you can talk about whatever you guys want in the chat. My typing could make for good ASMR. Why is everyone obsessed with ASMR? I've never understood that, man. Let's see. Kevin saying my favorite stuff from Radiohead is probably Subterranean Homesick Alien. Kellogg's and Battle Creek. Someone told me they unalived him because they said he's a serial killer. What are we talking about? This guy He's got something against Honey Nut Cheerios or something. He's killing cereal. What are we doing? Lynn from Ohio, good to see you. We are going to have some storms headed your way eventually this evening if you're in Toledo. You might see some pop-up storms throughout the afternoon and evening as well. Arctic monkeys are not trash. That is the worst take I've ever seen. Objectively terrible take. Okay. Again, we still have these strong storms. Really, I mean, we could definitely see, especially in this area just west of Albion, we could definitely still see a potentially an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust, but definitely up to 70 miles per hour with this entire line of storms just continuing to bowl through Michigan here. As you can see, like Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, you just got some stratiform rain. You're pretty much out of the woods at this point if you're along Lake Michigan, at least for the time being. Back in Chicago, still a couple of isolated storms, nothing crazy going on out there. In Indiana, isolated storms. Some of these could have some gusty winds, maybe some small hail, not really reaching severe thresholds, though. All right, let's check in on the Northeast here. As these storms north of Rochester are still trying to roll in. We can look at the Buffalo radar here. As this storm still does have a very strong mid-level meso, but I'm not really too concerned about it being tornadic. If it tightened up, I would be concerned about it. But at this point, I'm not really that, concerned about it. But back in New York, near Syracuse, we do have a stronger storm out there. That one is severe thunderstorm warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds and small hail. Literally all of these storms are going to be tagged for 60-mile-per-hour winds and small hail throughout Pennsylvania and New York. Even in New Jersey here, same deal. So if you are in any of these regions, definitely you got to be worried about it. As a Mikey in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see some debris on the road here. Let's full screen him for a second. Okay, that must have been a little bit ago. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, right about here, there was a little bit of a fallen tree that was being cleared off the road here in Calhoun County. So we had some damaging winds out here. This was Burlington and Calhoun County in Michigan here. So some damaging winds that took down some tree limbs. You see some gentlemen out there clearing the debris on the road, some good Samaritans. And you could hear Mikey thanking them for that as he drove on by. It looks like he got there literally right as they were finishing up clearing it off. But you can still see a larger tree branch on the road here right as Mikey rolled up, and they literally dragged it out of the road as he got there. So that is good news to see that there were people out there willing to help out. So really cool stuff there from Mikey Plemons. Forrest Frank is overrated. I agree. I liked Surfaces though when he was with Surfaces. Forrest Frank does have good feel-good music though. There's no denying that. All right, we did get an upgrade to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for Sheridan County, Nebraska. This one is now tagged for up to 2-inch hail. So just like we talked about a couple minutes ago. This storm, you can see those silvers and grays getting in there. In fact, a lot of them at multiple levels of the atmosphere. So this is a very, very powerful updraft. Definitely could be producing 2-inch hail. That's a good shout by the National Weather Service out of Rapid City. So a pretty strong storm here in Nebraska. This one's out near Rushville and Hay Springs right now. It's just dumping hail along the highway. Rain Maves, I see you in the chat. How you doing? I see Marcus talking about the St. Louis Cardinals. Go Birds. There is another storm, by the way, firing off to the northwest of our considerable severe thunderstorm warned storm here in Nebraska. This one's near Chadron and Whitney. And it looks like it might have a little bit of decently strong rotation here at 7,000 feet. So that's definitely one to watch. It's a much, much younger cell here. Red Maves, I'm happy to hear that you are doing good. All right, we're going to check in on the Middle Tennessee Valley as well as into Alabama. We see a lot of these thunderstorm warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, have been lifted with a little bit of relief. And nowadays, we are looking more along the lines of Tennessee with some of these stronger storms. There is a much stronger one that is headed eventually towards Gadsden here in Alabama. It's near Pleasant Gap and Center right now. Decently strong one that could be dropping some small hail here, maybe up to $half sized hail. It is tagged for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Southwest of Huntsville, there's a stronger storm with some possible damaging winds there. That one's tagged for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail as well. Same exact thing with these storms northwest of Huntsville, straddling the border of Tennessee as well there. Out in Texas County, Oklahoma, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning still in place for these storms that we can get a better look on really from Dodge City, from the Dodge City radar. As this area was looking pretty favorable for some large hail, as Adrian let us know a little bit earlier. So we do have storms literally all over the place right now. We have 39 severe thunderstorm warnings on the map at this moment. We had 40 just a couple seconds ago. As we did literally just see the storm in Lycoming, Pennsylvania get canceled like all of 2 seconds ago. So we had 40 severe thunderstorm warnings on the map until just a second ago here. All right, back to Michigan. We're watching these storms just continue to blow on through the area. Really, really strong winds throughout this entire line. I mean, all the way from near Portland down through Charlotte and eventually down almost as far as Coldwater. I will say there is a storm, a prefrontal storm here near Hillsdale that looks like it is bringing the heat with some wind as well. It's kind of just this leading edge storm that's sticking out just ahead of the line. It's just beginning to get ingested into the line here. So that one is definitely posing the threat for some stronger winds. And I will say on the southern end of that one, it is possible we see a tornado risk develop as it gets a little bit of a nudge from behind there. But in general, I'm not really worried about a tornado threat at all out here in Michigan right this moment. This is really just a really widespread wind threat here. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, that is the #1 thing you can do to support the broadcast. So I really appreciate all the support we've had lately. It's been really incredible. See a lot of no's in the chat. What are we talking about? Halsley? We did just get a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning here in Michigan. This is now going to include the rest of the Lansing metro area, as well as Williamston, Bath, DeWitt, and St. John's. So another downstream warning for these 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We are looking at 8 considerable severe thunderstorm warnings on the map right now, and all of them are in Michigan, except for the one in Sheridan County, Nebraska, for that 2-inch hail that we've been seeing. The Eminem and MGK beef, by the way, was absolutely won by Eminem, and it wasn't even remotely close. Eminem dropped a diss that was so good that MGK stopped making rap after that. Amy Piat Knight in the chat saying, I'm in Kentwood, Michigan, and it's brutal. Yeah, I would imagine really anywhere out here in Michigan right now that's getting these storms is going to be absolutely getting hammered. These winds are really, really strong. Up to 70 miles per hour out here. And again, there are still residual thunderstorms down through Indiana as well, rolling out of South Bend and eventually towards just north of Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne itself will probably stay mostly dry, but a little bit to be determined on that. Again, we can still see Mikey in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen driving through Michigan right now. We just get this severe thunderstorm warning tag considerable in Michigan was shrunken down to relieve Kalamazoo and Portage and Battle Creek, Vicksburg. Some of these areas you can see it get shrunken down here that were in the warning that did not need to be in that warning any longer. As we take a look at Mikey, as he's kind of on the backside of this now. He's trying to make his way east, it looks like, to get back ahead of this line and catch some of these insane winds that are rolling through Marshall and Albion. As they have uptrended again, these winds. So we could be seeing potentially up to 80-mile-per-hour winds in multiple places along this line. Areas just south of Charlotte, maybe near Potterville, but especially here near Marshall and Albion here. So some very strong winds in those regions. 70-mile-per-hour gusts, most certainly possible, if not maybe even 80-mile-per-hour gusts.
They're so bad during the summer, and seeing a instability gradient like that certainly kind of piqued my interest when it comes to damaging winds like this, and that's certainly verified here this afternoon. Unfortunately, I was just a wee bit late. I hung around down that popcorn little pop-up supercell there for just a little bit too long if I wanted to intercept the strongest of the winds. But
and that is Mikey you're hearing from the bottom left there. We'll get another live hit from him eventually here in this afternoon. We are going to be going live here for another hour and a half or so. We're about 2 hours in. Unfortunately, I can't go as late as I would want to tonight, as I do have some family plans that I cannot miss. You are more than welcome. I appreciate the kind words, Amy Piat. All right, we're going to check back on the Northeast, where we have tons of storms going on down here. And these are going to be bringing that 60-mile-per-hour wind and small hail threat. A couple of storms in Jersey could be producing that as well, but really in Pennsylvania and out into New York. Our storm near Rochester is just starting to exit the lake here, as it is finally kind of making landfall near Rochester. And you can see the outflow boundary that it's kicking out here. Again, these are really, really strong storms in terms of the outflow and wind that they are producing. So some very strong storms bringing some gusty winds to all sorts of areas all around the country. I'm so glad you pronounced town names correctly. Yeah, I do my best. I try to learn on the fly. I don't mind people correcting me in the chat. It doesn't bother me. I want to get them right, because it is important for, there are a lot of folks out there who don't really know their geography. And if you say the name of their county or their town wrong, they might not get the message. So it is important to try and pronounce them correctly when possible. As we did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning in Indiana here. This one's going to be for Napanee, Milford, Leesburg, and North Webster, as well as New Paris and Bremen. And this one is just going to be tagged with 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail potentially, as we have a couple of slightly stronger storms down here in Indiana that are continuing to roll through. How does Albany, New York look tonight weather-wise? Definitely could see a couple of stronger storms roll through that area. We were just in the mid and into the Northeast a little bit ago. I am expecting more storms to fire off over the next hour or so out to your west. So if any of those are able to get going, you definitely could see a couple of storms head your way. I'm not worried about anything significant, but you could see a couple of severe gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Josh in the chat, our director of web development, saying, how severe is the patriotism looking tomorrow? What % chance of me acting a fool do we have? I would say we're definitely looking at a scale of 1 to Screaming Eagle on the freedom scale. We are looking at very, very much towards Screaming Eagle. So definitely a lot of freedom in play tomorrow afternoon, a lot of energy in the atmosphere for that. Josh will definitely be looking at about an 80 to 90% chance of acting a fool. You can't entirely rule out that we end up with a bust event for Josh there. But in general, we're definitely looking at Josh most likely going to be making a fool at some point. What's up, Adrian? Talk to me. I see that. Okay, so we have some sort of localized vorticity zone going on here in South Dakota. And Adrian and I both have no idea what this is. I don't really know what this is. But this is cyclonic vorticity at the surface. And you can see what appears to be some sort of western retrograding line, some boundary here. It could be a dry line potentially pushing towards the west near Hot Springs. So that's going to provide the opportunity for some of these storms to fire. And I will say if a storm can get going down here, into the Black Hills, we could definitely see the potential for one of them to become tornadic if it ingests some of this localized surface spin. So that's definitely something to watch. And also, Drake did not beat Kendrick in the beef, and it's not even remotely close. Kendrick had the entire world, and still has the entire world in the palm of his hand, singing a song that calls Drake, you know, a very not good thing. Talking about the chords that he sings. There is no way that you can look me in the eyes and try to tell me that Drake won that beef. That is definitely a bias because you like Drake's music better. Objectively, there's no way that Drake won that beef. Still a very strong storm tagged for considerable hail here, up to 2-inch hail near Rushville and Hay Springs. Not really moving much, so not much of a crazy wind gust threat. All right, back to Michigan. I am probably going to start switching to the Detroit radar not terribly long from now. But I got to tell you, some of these winds are really looking strong near Albion and eventually towards Parma, also near Potterville. So a lot of really, really strong storms along this line that could produce those 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And again, it really wouldn't shock me if we saw an isolated 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. A moment ago on your screen, you did see that flash flood warning, by the way, in Wyoming. I forgot to talk about it. That's for Weston County, Wyoming. There is a flash flood warning in place. Oh, I see the video you sent me, Adrian. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. The more I look at that, I just have no idea what that is. I like Adrian sent me a text of a picture of the radar when we were looking at that localized vorticity in South Dakota, and literally just drew a bunch of question marks on the map. He was like, "I do not know what this is," and I don't really either. But definitely some localized cyclonic vorticity there. Yeah, Caleb, I feel you in the chat. There's no way that Drake beat Kendrick in that beef. It's not even remotely close. But yeah, no, Adrian, I have no idea what that is, bro. That's some weird looking stuff. I kind of want to ask Dr. Mercer about that. Shoot him an email or something. All right, from the Detroit radar, we can see these winds are still looking really, really strong, especially near Charlotte. This is probably the most concerning area, is out here near Charlotte from both radars. That area is looking like there are some very, very strong winds. From the Grand Rapids radar near Concord and Albion as well, definitely looks like some stronger winds. But near Charlotte and Potterville, both radars are picking up on some very strong winds out there, potentially on the order of 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So again, I wouldn't rule out an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust, but these are tagged for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Yeah, Kevin, I completely agree with that message you just dropped in there. All right, let's check in on what's going down in southwestern Kansas with these storms. Looks like nothing new particularly going on with these. Still some pretty decent mid-level rotation, but we're in a radar hole. The closest view we can get is 10,000 feet, unfortunately. We are going to check in on the storm in North Dakota as well. It looks like the one northwest of Bismarck has been downgraded, no longer a severe thunderstorm. But in southern North Dakota, near Emmons and Sioux counties, we do have near Fort Yates a severe thunderstorm warning in place for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Back down in Tennessee, in the Tennessee Valley, central Tennessee, we are still looking at a flash flood warning south of Nashville and west of Murfreesboro. That's a newer one that was placed not terribly long ago. I believe that was just a minute ago, literally a minute ago. Yeah. I was like, I didn't see that prior. As we are looking at still many storms ongoing in Tennessee. Now, I will say a lot of these storms are starting to downtrend and dissipate. So a lot of cooler temperatures potentially throughout Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee as some of these storms begin to splash down and just blast all these winds out and about. But still so much convection going on. Just a little bit of downtrending has been going on as we have kind of reached that peak heating hour. And we will be getting into downtrending with some of these storms over the next few hours. And hopefully they'll clear up enough in time for everybody to get their 4th of July Eve fireworks in. And hopefully it won't be this bad tomorrow because this has been quite excessive with the amount of convection we've had. I mean, this is pretty insane. Like almost a third of Tennessee, which is a very large state, maybe even almost half of Tennessee is undergoing some sort of precipitation, and probably like a quarter of the state is undergoing some sort of thunderstorm activity right now. We can turn on lightning here. This is just the last 20 minutes of lightning, and you can see how electrically active so many of these storms are. Shout out Jacob, my boy Jacob. Shout out Jacob Linebarger, the GOAT. Out in Kentucky, we are still looking at some of these storms as they continue to propagate a little bit towards the north. Maybe some of these will actually reach towards Evansville eventually here in Indiana, as these are starting to kick out a crazy outflow boundary, which you can see it on radar here, this outflow boundary. I'll give it a circle so you can see it on radar without just the white line. You can see that outflow boundary from these severe thunderstorms that are definitely producing some stronger winds. All right, back in Pennsylvania, we saw an upgrade to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. That is going to be for these ones headed towards Bloomsburg near Jerseytown, Millville, and Watsontown, Milton and Lewisburg as well for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So this was just radar indicated here, so nothing observed, but it was observed. Well, it says it was observed. I'm not seeing the observation, of course, but we do have 40 severe thunderstorm warnings on the map. This is pretty crazy stuff. A very, very active day for severe weather. Not the most active day for hail and tornadoes, but very, very active for wind. And again, this is a strong thunderstorm capable of producing some solid wind here. And there actually is a tiny bit of anticyclonic rotation, it looks like, near Watsontown. Where's the radar that we're looking from? Oh, okay. Yeah, perhaps a little bit of cyclonic or anticyclonic rotation near Watsontown or Turbitville. But in general, I'm not worried about a tornado threat. This is just a big wind threat that's rolling on through in central Pennsylvania right now towards Bloomsburg. Out in Jersey, those severe thunderstorm warnings have been lifted. So we just have some general weakening thunderstorms that are downtrending as they head towards the greater New York area. In New Mexico, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that was put in place for an elevated thunderstorm here. You can see you don't even see it at the lowest tilt angles. These LCLs are basically at like 5,000 feet. So an elevated storm capable of those microbursts and downbursts without a doubt. As this is going to be a stronger thunderstorm here that could be producing up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and maybe some hail. Most of that hail will probably melt, though, before it hits the surface of the earth. All right, we're going to check in on the Rapid City storms, or just west of Rapid City, I should say. This area of vorticity, it definitely does intrigue me if we can get any storms to latch onto it. We're not really seeing that happen yet. In Nebraska, we do still have this considerable severe thunderstorm warning for 2-inch hail. That cell is just parked there. And then we have the flash flood warning for Weston County in Wyoming here, with multiple severe thunderstorm warnings out near Four Corners, Osage, Upton, and now Sundance as well, just to the southeast of Devil's Tower. A very, very cool landmark. Back to Michigan, we still are looking at all of these storms starting to make their way eventually towards Detroit. They're rolling through central Michigan right now. Still some stronger winds near Parma, Jackson, Vandercook Lake, as well as Holt and Lansing. So plenty of wind going on here. And we do see Mikey in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen still rolling down there in Michigan. We can check in on where he's at. It looks like he is out near Marshall. So he's going to head east eventually here, I believe, and try to catch up to these winds, which will be difficult for him to do as these storms are moving at about 45, or they're not moving 45 miles per hour. Apparently, they're moving at about 20 to 25. So maybe he actually will be able to catch up to some of these storms. It certainly looks to me like they're moving faster than 25 miles an hour, but that is what they're tagged for. And these storms are somewhat electrically active as well. I'll turn on lightning here. You can see not as dense of lightning as we've seen in some of the other storms, like back down in Tennessee, but still some lightning out there. Now, Not Like Us is stuck in my head. Everyone's been talking about it in the chat. Speaking of the chat, if you are in the chat, tuning in with us for the first time, liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications is the number one thing that you can do to support us. It would be incredibly appreciated. Eastern Iowa storms. Yeah, we can check in on what's going on in Iowa. There hasn't been any action out there just yet. We did have another severe thunderstorm warning for Will County for the smaller storm that's just fired off near Peatone, headed towards Beecher and Goodnow. That one is just tagged for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. We'll go ahead and check in what's going on in Iowa here. As it looks like in western Iowa near Omaha and Lincoln, we do have some of these storms starting to fire off that we were expecting, and they're clustering up very quickly. So some of these could bring some gusty winds and small hail. It looks like maybe we have some small hail going on in this region of Nebraska near Wan or Meade. A little close to the radar unit to tell. Back to eastern Iowa, which is what our question was about. Tons of convection starting to fire off there. All of these storms are going to continue to grow. They're going to thrive in this environment. All that instability is present and the cap is beginning to break out there as it's mixed out. So these storms are going to be able to continue to grow. We can look at those echo tops and you'll see these are just climbing a lot here. Some of those yellows and oranges already getting into the mix, and these storms haven't been on the map for long. So we'll be getting some stronger storms out here in eastern Iowa to be determined exactly what that's going to look like in terms of the threat they produce. I'm not worried about any kind of a tornado threat with these, but in terms of how much of a wind threat they're able to produce will be a little bit to be determined here. Back in western Iowa, though, that is where the main concern is over the next 2 hours or so and into towards around 8 p.m. tonight for a potential tornado risk, especially with initial storms. MCS scenario across southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois tonight. Definitely possible. Yeah, I mean, you can already see some clustering storms starting to fire off here at the tri-state region of Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So you could definitely see a couple of stronger storms forming an MCS in your area in southern Wisconsin. It's definitely possible. Can't rule it out. Okie dokie. I'm going to check in again on what's going on down in Tennessee with all of these storms. And man, I got to tell you, man, we have 5 flash flood warnings on the map right now, as well as like 36 severe thunderstorm warnings. So it has been such an active day today. And again, that's not really going to change. The Huntsville radar has a really good look at all of these storms right now. So we're going to continue to watch the Huntsville radar for just a couple of minutes here. Again, Michigan is our number one concern at this current moment in terms of the strongest storms, but we're going to see out in southwestern South Dakota, maybe towards the Nebraska Panhandle. Those storms, as they begin to fire off, will begin to ramp up and pose the greatest risk as they propagate to the east, eventually towards eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. But that's not going to happen just yet. We're watching some of those storms just starting to fire off now. They need a little bit more time before we reach some of those higher severe thresholds, and hopefully we don't ever actually get there. But again, to be determined. Are we having a rap battle in the chat right now? Is that what I'm seeing? What is going on? I don't know what's going on, but I fully respect it. I just want to throw that out there. We did just get a tornado warning in Michigan. So we do have our first tornado warning of the day, I believe. It looks like we had, how did I miss this a couple minutes ago? Oh, that's because it wasn't there 2 scans ago. We just had so really good awareness from the National Weather Service here. They got on this quick, as this rotation literally spawned in 2 scans essentially here. So we do have some rotation here for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This is not horribly far from where Mikey is at. He won't be able to get there. But you can see Mikey is, where is he now? There he is. He's down here near Tekonsha. This storm is not terribly far, maybe an hour or two to his northeast. So we do have our first tornado warning of the night active here for Ingham County in Michigan. And the Detroit radar really has the best look at this. You can see that couplet is pretty strong and tight, around 3,800 feet. So definitely capable of producing a tornado here. And this is anticyclonic rotation that formed, and is already broadened out a little bit here. So not the greatest threat. This tornado warning is probably not going to last its full life cycle. They did give it 40 minutes, but we do have a tornado warning in place in Michigan right now. And yeah. But a tornado warning active here in Michigan right now. Anticyclonic tornado is possible. It looked really favorable 1 scan ago just west of Mason. And now we have that tornado warning in place. That rotation has broadened a little bit, but it is still there. We'll see what happens to it over the next 2 or 3 radar scans here over the next 5 minutes or so. See if anything is going to happen with that. And again, that is Storm Chaser Mikey Plemons in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, who is out there in Michigan, but he is not on this cell. Okay, I am hearing reports, by the way, from Mikey as of, this was like a half hour ago, and I just didn't see this message. Union City, Michigan was actually without power. And Mikey is hearing reports of substantial damage in Hillsdale County, Michigan. So that's in southern Michigan here. I can go ahead and turn on county names here. Here's Hillsdale County for areas like Hillsdale, North Adams, Jonesville, Allen, Reading, Osseo, Frontier, Montgomery, and Camden. So apparently there is some substantial damage down there where we have had some stronger thunderstorms rolling through this afternoon, bringing really strong winds to that area. Right now in Ingham County, though, we have a tornado warning in place, so we're going to stay with that. And it looks like, yeah, we haven't gotten the latest radar scan in yet. We will have it very soon here. But yeah, Union City, Michigan was apparently without power, at least for some period of time, as of around 3:54 p.m. Central Time. So just about 40 minutes ago. All righty. What is going on, man? Kevin is cute too. What's going on in the chat? West Virginia has joined the party. What do we have? A severe. Oh, we got a severe thunderstorm warning for Pocahontas County in West Virginia. What's going on out here? As we do have a really, really small cell that is fired off in eastern West Virginia, west of Marlinton. This one is going to be producing some small hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This thing literally came out of nowhere. It's just an air mass storm. So a little bit of a downburst situation when it begins to dissipate. In Wisconsin, the ingredients are definitely there to have a stronger cluster of storms roll through if anything can get organized. I generally think it's mostly going to stay to your south, though. And I will say our tornado warning has significantly weakened that anticyclonic rotation we saw near Mason in Michigan, central Michigan here. So I think that tornado warning will get lifted here pretty soon. But this is for Ingham County. I don't think there's any type of an imminent tornado threat right now. And some of our severe thunderstorm warning polygons here in Michigan have been shrunken down. We did just get a new downstream considerable severe thunderstorm warning just a couple minutes ago. That is going to include Adrian, Weston, Morenci, Bullisfield, Tecumseh, Onstead, Clinton, Manchester, Saline, Ann Arbor, Barton Hills, Chelsea, and Milan, as well as Whitaker. So a very, very large severe thunderstorm warning polygon here in Michigan. I'm going to just really quickly read off all of the counties in Michigan that are in the path of these 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So if you're in any of these counties, pay close attention to these storms. Lenawee, Washtenaw, Clinton, Ingham, Eaton, Iona, Jackson, and that's it. And again, this tornado warning is still in place for Ingham County, Michigan. I'm not expecting it to last very long here, though. They might keep it up to see if this rotation will recycle over the next couple of minutes. But in general, there is no imminent tornado threat right this second. It would need to uptrend on the next radar scan or two for me to grow concerned about it. But it is our first and only tornado warning of the day thus far. And you can still see Storm Chaser Mikey Plemons in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. We'll check in with him really quickly here as he is riding along out here in Michigan. He is near Teconcha right now, heading north. A lot of rain, just stratiform rain out there. You can see the winds have calmed down as he's behind this line of thunderstorms. All right, back to our radar here. That was Mikey Plemons. You're seeing Nader Mike out there. We did just get another considerable severe thunderstorm warning downstream here for areas like Pinckney, Brighton, Howell, Fowlerville, Cohocton, Perry, Durand, and Owasso, as well as Byron. Vernon included in that as well. I don't know if I said Howell. I think I did say Howell. But yeah, again, these are really strong storms with strong winds that are just rolling on through Michigan here. We also still have a severe thunderstorm warning in the northeasternmost corner of Indiana for this smaller storm near Pleasant Lake and Hamilton. That one's going to cross into Ohio towards Montpelier not long from now. What is going on in the chat? Again, we do still have this tornado warning in place. We're going to continue to follow it to see if it uptrends. But it is definitely significantly weaker here. Okay, so there we go. We got the newest reflectivity scan. Those velocities will update for us within the next like 10 to 15 seconds here. And there it is. Yeah, so that rotation has really diminished. I would imagine this tornado warning will now get lifted. We are still watching it, though, closely, just in case anything happens with it. Alrighty. We are going to jump back down to Tennessee here, where we are seeing a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings starting to get lifted a little bit, but we do still have 2 in place for Nashville and surrounding areas, especially just south of Nashville and near Lebanon in Tennessee, where we have a lot of stronger storms still ongoing and tons of lightning with these. I can turn on lightning here, and I mean, you can just see near Jackson, Tennessee as well, Lexington, so much lightning with these storms. Our storms down west of Huntsville are definitely beginning to weaken just a little bit. That is going to pose the risk for some of those downbursting winds upwards of 60 miles per hour or so as they push off towards the west near Decatur, Rogersville, and Moulton. More storms continuing to fire off in central Alabama as well, near Talladega. None of these are extremely strong, but in southern Mississippi, we do have a couple of storms firing off as well that are producing some stronger outflow boundaries here. You can see it set up on the map from some of these storms. So definitely kicking out some gusty winds, as we did actually just crest 100 viewers for the first time tonight. So that's awesome. Really happy to see everybody here. I hope everyone is doing okay. Back in Ingham, Michigan, where we have this tornado warning again, this really could get lifted here at any point. There really is no rotation or any type of tornado threat with this, in my opinion, right now. But we'll see how long the National Weather Service opts to keep this. Alrighty. Will show us The Shining. What does that mean? All right, bro. All right, bro. It looks like we just had a new tornado warning added for Texas County, Oklahoma, and the Panhandle here. So we do have a new tornado warning in place, as this has really uptrended here over the last few minutes. So some stronger rotation here. We have had radar indicated rotation, so nothing observed here, but a tornado warning is in place for Hoff and Mauser out here in the Oklahoma Panhandle. So for a little bit of a reference, this is where we're at. There is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning on the same cell as well for the golf ball size hail that it may be producing. So this is a very, very strong storm capable of producing a tornado near Oklahoma, or Texas County, Oklahoma, excuse me, near Hoff and Mauser. What's up, Adrian? It does, yeah. I see on METAR, it's got that 15 knot inflow coming into it directly from the southeast, which is what it needs. Yeah. Yeah. So Adrian's letting me know that we've seen a little bit of training with this storm as these nudgers just keep spawning in from the southwest, which is what's kind of caused this rotation to heighten here. And so now we're seeing it a little bit more robust near Hoff. So definitely one to watch, a pretty intense storm here that could produce a tornado. It does have a really strong inflow coming in at 15 knots, which is like 18 miles per hour or so out of the southeast directly into the inflow notch here. Meanwhile, it is kind of sitting along a dry line, so it's just kind of parked stationary. So it's trying to move to the southeast, but the inflow is kind of stopping it from doing that. And it's just parked along this dry line, just sitting there. So if it is able to ingest enough vorticity and spin and helicity to produce a tornado, it'd probably be one of those drill bit type of tornadoes that just sits in one spot for a while and just kind of tries to drill into the ground. As this one's not really moving far or moving much really at all in general. I can pull a few frames back here and we can look at some of that storm training with this nudger cell that's been interacting with it from the southwest as well. So you can see another cell that formed, two different cells really forming that have tried to interact with it and create some of that rotation over the last really like 10 minutes just about. So a stronger storm here that definitely could produce a tornado in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Back in Michigan, where we have a tornado warning in place, again, I still don't think this is a concerning storm for a tornado at all. So this one will probably be allowed to expire. They actually did go ahead and maintain it as of 2 minutes ago. I don't really think it's capable of producing a tornado personally. It did have that strong anticyclonic rotation for a little while there, for about 5 minutes or so. Go Cardinals, by the way. Cardinals own the Cubs. Story old as time. Cardinals are up 11-0 right now. Which is pretty embarrassing. They're in Wrigley, by the way. Top of the 5th inning. The Cardinals at Wrigley are destroying the Cubs. 11-0 in the top of the 5th. Embarrassing for the Cubs, but that's pretty typical. I think I'm making some enemies here. But yeah, we're going to jump back to Texas County, Oklahoma, where we have the stronger rotation out here. I don't think there's anyone out here. Actually, it does look like there is one storm spotter out here. So if we do get a tornado with this, we will probably get it confirmed very quickly. But that rotation is still there. And in fact, it has uptrended on the latest scan. So decently strong rotation in Hoff. But again, we're looking at 11,000 feet in the air. Yeah, there really hasn't been much of a tornado risk at all down in Oklahoma, but sometimes you get a little mesoscale magic as this cell fired off on the dry line and has just been parked there, getting really decent inflow from the southeast. So despite the environment not being super heavily sheared, it has been able to get itself organized. We can take a cross section here, and you can see that bounded weak echo region. In fact, you have really two bounded weak echo regions here at the upper levels, but you can see that rainbow going on right here for your main area of rotation where you have a strong rotating updraft that is present. So definitely a strong storm capable of producing a tornado near Hoff in Texas County, Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma Panhandle. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Whoa. Hey, let's check in on Mikey really quickly as he's got a down tree in the middle of the road here that he's been helping out trying to clear up. for what looks like 2 or 3 minutes now. I didn't see this, but man, some big time wind damage going on out here in Jonesville in Michigan. So it looks like one lane is open where a couple vehicles are able to get through, but in general, there's some strong there have been some strong winds out there, and we've got some downed trees. Looks like a couple other folks are stopping to help out. So good on Mikey for being out there and trying to help out with these storms. Or I mean, with this wind damage. All right, so this tornado warning is still active here near Hoff and Mauser. It does look like it's wrapping up, and we could definitely see a tornado develop from it. Checking in on the tornado warning up in Ingham County in Michigan. Again, there's really just no rotation whatsoever in this polygon. It could be lifted at any point. We're going to stay with the tornado warning down here in Texas County, Oklahoma. Yeah. There is a decent amount of radar interference going on here. A lot of bright banding, unfortunately, from the Dodge City radar. This is a really bad radar hole here. We really need a radar, like somewhere right around the tri-state border of Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico. Yeah, you're good. This is true. Lorian's boyfriend is also a Cardinals fan, which is why I like him. New Mexico mentioned, where is Sam? I need Samuel Gonzalez right now. I really appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. If you are in the chat and you haven't already, liking and subscribing is the number one thing you can do to support us, and it would be incredibly appreciated. As it looks like Mikey has made it away from that debris in the road and is now mobile again. As we can see, he is now driving here through Jonesville in Hillsdale County here, where there has been pretty extensive wind damage reported, apparently. Yeah, Lorian, go right ahead. We will be live for just about an hour here, just around like 5:45 to 6. That is when we will be dropping out, as I do have family plans this evening. Interesting. My last marriage. What are we talking about? Yeah, the title is now up to date fully. I think they're going to lift the Michigan tornado warning any second here. I don't know why it's still on the map, so I'm not going to include it in the title. My father wants me to show the shirt that he gave me this morning, as we do have a USA 250 shirt going on out here. Nice little 4th of July shirt. It's like a little like baseball style shirt. All right, the rotation near Hoff is definitely uptrending a little bit here. So something to watch. We got Cruz in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, but Caleb, to your point, every day I get to wake up and thank the Lord that I am not a Cubs fan and I'm not from Chicago. So I do have that going for me. Even though we haven't won a World Series since 2011, we do have a lot of rings. (11-3), by the way. You know, it's crazy. In this game earlier, by the fifth inning, the Cardinals had put up 11 runs on the Cubs at Wrigley Field, which is the same number of World Series wins that we have. However, the Cubs have 3 World Series wins to their name, and yet they weren't able to put up a single run on the Cardinals by the fifth inning. I don't know, dude. That's just, the numbers don't lie. I know it's 14-0 now. It was 11-0 a little bit ago in the fifth inning. I don't know what the score is right this second. I closed the tab. I did have the score pulled up for a while. I'm gonna pull it back up. No, there's still we're still in the fifth inning. The Cardinals have just been extending these innings so long. We scored three in the second, 3 in the third, 5 in the fourth, and now 3 in the fifth, and we're still at we're not up to bat anymore. We're in the middle of the fifth, so now the Cubs will finally get the chance to maybe try and swing the bat. They've been spending a lot of time throwing the ball. And yeah, this is still pretty strong rotation near Hoff. Texas County, Oklahoma here is what we're looking at. I'll check in on Michigan because we do still have a really strong winds rolling through Michigan. There's just no reason this tornado warning needs to be on the map. I don't know why it's there. But yeah, still really strong storms rolling through Michigan regardless that are bringing 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I mean, you'll see on the velocities here, especially on this northern one near Fowlerville. These are some really, really strong winds here. This could even honestly be a destructive severe thunderstorm warning tag. No rotation on this. Some sort of a little bit of a CC drop here, though. I'm assuming that's hail. Or some sort of other interference that's going on there. Yeah. Should be fine. That should not be a tornado on the ground there. I guess it's possible, but I highly, highly doubt. I mean, there's literally no rotation at 1,800 feet. So I find it impossible to believe, but yeah. Oops. All right, back down to Texas. I'm going to turn off METAR to clean my map up a little bit. But yeah, down here in Hoff in Texas County, Oklahoma, still strong rotation, still kicking down there. Yeah, the Astros, if you support the Astros, I can't really respect you. You support cheaters. We don't like cheaters. Nobody likes cheaters. You can still see Mikey in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, by the way. There is a lot of tree limbs down that he's seen on his or that we've seen on his feed here. You drank a glass of milk with the World Cup? What does that mean? Imagine you're a wee cumulus and you're just slingshotted into the stratosphere by a random pressure falls just because. You're welcome. Mikey is ready to do a live hit whenever, he said. We do have a tornado warning active, so we might wait just a couple of minutes to chat with him. As our tornado warning in Michigan was lifted, by the way. Oh, wow. Mikey's father and friend were helping someone out of a car that a tree fell on. And we've seen some of those down tree limbs on Mikey's feed over the last few minutes here. So some pretty extensive damage down there in Hillsdale County in Michigan. But we are looking at this tornado warned cell sitting on the dry line in Texas County, Oklahoma here. As Mikey is going to show us some of these down tree limbs here in just a little bit. Alrighty. Again, this is a tornado warning in place for Texas County, Oklahoma, near Hoff and Mauser, and it's not really moving. So if it drops a tornado, it's just going to be kind of drilling into the ground. And our tornado warning up in Michigan was canceled. So just to check in on those storms, we can still see they are still ongoing. And bringing these 60 to 70 mile per hour winds and maybe up to 80 near Howell. I know we don't cover Canada, but tornado warning in Saskatchewan. Oh, yeah. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah, we can't cover Canada just yet. We will get there one day. We did just get a considerable severe thunderstorm warning here in Pennsylvania. That one is tagged for 70 mile per hour wind. As you can see, some of these velocities coming in pretty hot down here in Pennsylvania. Nothing crazy with these. Probably was an observed thing. That looks like radar indicated. But a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in Pennsylvania for Lackawanna, Luzerne, and Wayne counties. We did just get a flash flood warning put in place here, literally just now, for Hoff and Mauser, as this storm is, again, it's just parked right in the same spot. So if you're in Hoff, you're literally sitting here looking at a flash flood warning, a severe thunderstorm warning, and a tornado warning all at once. Cruz, if you want to get my forecast for this weekend, you can take a look at our latest forecast video, which is live on YouTube. I'll put a link to that in the chat. Definitely, if everyone could check out that video and leave a like and comment, it would be greatly appreciated. Not necessary, just greatly appreciated, though. As this rotation, the inflow notch is still pretty tight here, as we have had like some of that RFD occlusion looking situation with this supercell, but it hasn't really been able to squeeze out a tornado. And I will say, the environment down here really isn't that favorable for tornadoes. We weren't expecting to see any supercells like this, but we did get one randomly along the dry line here near Hoff and Mauser. As it looks like Mikey is still driving. There have been numerous down tree limbs in the area, though. See a message in the chat from Pezik saying we might see convective initiation over western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio soon. Yeah, the cap is going to be mixing out here soon in general for a lot of these areas that haven't seen convection yet. We're already seeing a couple of bubbles of cumulus firing off in Pennsylvania. Not seeing anything in Ohio yet, but we could definitely see it soon. That would not surprise me at all. And from our METAR data, okay, it's not going to load for me. But there probably is that dry line that we could see on METAR. But again, we are staying with the tornado warning down here near Hoff and Mauser, as it looks like it's really wrapping up. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with it exactly. I fell down the stairs and did the Peter Griffin hurt position at the bottom. Yeah, right. The like starfish out like. Yeah, this tornado warning in Texas County, Oklahoma doesn't look incredibly concerning to me. Back into Michigan, we have finally seen this considerable thunderstorm warning make it all the way to Detroit and the whole, basically, like the entire southern half of the Detroit metro. So we are now looking at 70-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail rolling on through Detroit and really the entire southeasternmost corner of the LP of Detroit, where we are going to see some stronger winds and precipitation blowing on through that area over the next hour or so. Meanwhile, back near Howell, we are still looking at really strong winds here, just north of Howell. I really wouldn't be shocked at all to see up to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts at the surface here for areas like Cohocton and headed down eventually towards Linden, maybe village of Clarkson and Pontiac. All right. Still rolling deep here. We are going to be broadcasting for about another 30 minutes. I know it does suck that I'm going to have to leave when things start to get really the most active. But that is unfortunately just the reality of my situation, as I do have some plans this evening. Back into Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York, you can see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings still ongoing here. Southwest of Syracuse, a couple of storms firing off there. The one near Auburn has a little bit of rotation to it, near Union Springs, right over the river. One of the fingers out there. And then down through Pennsylvania, a couple of considerable severe thunderstorm warnings for 70-mile-per-hour winds have been put in place. We haven't checked in on Tennessee in a while, so we'll look down there as the Tennessee Valley is still getting blasted with tons of precipitation. Some of these slightly stronger storms, but things are beginning to weaken just a little bit, which is good news. Central Alabama storms continuing to roll through as well, also beginning to weaken just a little bit, which is nice, as we are going to finally get a lot of that energy expelled from the atmosphere and used up. That is until tomorrow, when we're going to get more heat that piles in during the day, and we'll get more storms because of this high pressure system, where we're just going to not have as much cloud cover and as much robust rising motion. So we're going to get all this daytime heating, leading to buoyancy for parcels to rise up, condense, and you get these air mass storms all over the place that can overcome the convective inhibition in place with the sinking motion from our high pressure system. Our tornado warning in Oklahoma has just been lifted now, so we have no tornado warnings active on the map. So we're going to focus our attention towards Michigan, as the greater Detroit area is about to get slammed here. We did just get a new downstream considerable severe thunderstorm warning for Pontiac and Oxford as well. Still tagged for 60-mile-per-hour or 70-mile-per-hour winds along this entire line, literally all the way from Flint, basically, or just south of Flint, down through Pontiac and eventually Detroit. So we are going to be watching, and even through Toledo, by the way, we'll probably get some of these stronger winds down there as well. Man, intense storm outflow. I'm sorry to hear about your dogs, man. That sucks. I feel for you. Okay, I just spilled water on myself. Incredible. Yeah. So something worth looking at here is southwest of the Rapid City radar. We do have a little bit of side lobe contamination going on here, and especially with the Black Hills, and you can see all of this consistent radar imagery being spat out here. These lower DBZ values. That's not rain that we're seeing here. Those are just basically trees and stuff. But you'll see what looks like really robust rotation here. Southwest of Silver City is really not. This is more of just side lobe contamination. Now, the storm does have some inflow for sure, and it probably has a little bit of rotation, but it is not nearly as robust as this makes it look. So definitely some side lobe contamination going on there southwest of Rapid City. All right, back over to Michigan here, where we are going to be hearing pretty soon from Mikey Plemons, who is out there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Yeah, the tornado warning was canceled a little while ago. We have no tornado warnings on the map. At the top of your screen, like just about a minute ago, you should have seen an update there that said that that warning was canceled. Man, what is going on in the chat tonight? Oh, Kaysen, I'm really sorry to hear that, man. That's horrible news. All right, I'm going to check in on these storms in the Northeast again in Pennsylvania as they are starting to roll down towards Tobyhanna, Mount Pocono, Tannersville, and East Stroudsburg as well. Also Jim Thorpe and Lighton. Right now, they're kind of pushing through Whitehaven, Blakesley, Bear Creek Village, Penn Lake Park, areas like that. South of Moscow as well. Newfoundland a little bit as well. All of these areas, we did just get actually a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning as well for 70-mile-per-hour winds. I would imagine as a result that the two downstream severe thunderstorm warnings for this cell are going to get upgraded to a considerable as well for Jersey and New York, where this is all here just for the 60-mile-per-hour winds with this cell that is coming out of Milford and Port Jervis, Pond Eddy as well. Could be producing some small hail here as well, up to $half size, it looks like. Not a super impressive hail core, but it is there. Could definitely be producing up to that $half size hail, maybe getting towards golf ball sized hail. In South Dakota, we did just get a considerable severe thunderstorm warning put on this storm that has a bunch of side lobe contamination going on with it. So that one's going to be tagged for golf ball sized hail. Let's take a look at that hail core. That's one of the nicer ones we've seen tonight. Those 50 dBz values lofted above 30,000 feet. A nice tilted updraft with 60 dBz values. Those are your magentas getting to almost 30,000 feet as well. The flash flood warning, by the way, just across the border for Osage and Four Corners was expanded a little bit, especially to the south. So that is still for Weston County in Wyoming. All right, back in New York, we did actually just get an upgrade for destructive winds on this storm, up to 80 miles per hour. This was probably observed here. And it is tornado possible tagged as well, as near Milford, we do have possibly a little bit of inflow trying to get established here. So this is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning right now for 80-mile-per-hour winds. This is for Milford, Pond Eddy, and Port Jervis out here in Pennsylvania and New York and New Jersey, really. This is Sullivan and Pike counties for New York and Pennsylvania, respectively. Sullivan County, New York, and Pike County, Pennsylvania. The storm's also going to be headed into Orange County, New York, as well as Sussex County in Jersey. If I was in that area, I would treat it as if it's a tornado warning. Absolutely. 80-mile-per-hour winds are no joke. You get an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust, it can knock structures down, rip roofs off of buildings. It's really dangerous stuff. So if you are out here in this area, it's a pretty populated area, right at the tri-state region of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Definitely make sure you're taking this one very, very seriously here. And again, this is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning down here as well in Pennsylvania for Carbon, Monroe, Lackawanna, Luzerne, and Wayne counties. And yeah, we're definitely seeing a little bit of very weak rotation with this storm, possibly in a couple of different areas. I'm not really terribly concerned with the tornadic threat for this one, but this is definitely an 80-mile-per-hour wind producer here. Lorian, I cannot send the storm of doom and despair to the Sure Willy as much as I would love to. Whoa. As it looks like Mikey might be running into a little bit of an issue down here.
Back to my house. Every road I go down. Back to my house. Every road I go down is.
Looks like he's running into all sorts of issues with roads being closed off.
This is a absolute war zone.
Why am I hearing him twice? What's going on here? Okay, do that and then do this.
North Adams.
There we go.
And there are trees, power lines, shingles everywhere.
You hear that from Mikey? There are trees, power lines, and shingles all over the place. This is in Hillsdale County in Michigan from these strong storms that are now pushing into Detroit. Getting into the Detroit area literally right now.
Welcome to the stream, I guess. We're gonna go try to see if we can help some people out. Moving trees off of roads, off of roofs, etc. I don't have my saw with me, unfortunately. Normally I have it in the back. I don't.
Seeing in the chat something about rotation in
I just
Illinois.
got the
I'll check
vehicle
it
back from the mechanic a couple days ago, and just had to throw everything together. Outside, my computer's on my seat next to me. Things are just kind of a mess in here. Not the normal rig I have set up for chasing. Thankfully, these east-west roads are fairly clear, but
So we're going to take Mikey out of full screen for a minute here, as we do have a little bit of rotation on this storm near Stockton, Illinois. This is a tornado possible tag severe thunderstorm warning. Nothing crazy with this. It could be a little bit of contaminated radar data, but it is interacting with a boundary here. So we could easily be seeing some increased vorticity ingested into this storm artificially from this boundary. And that could cause this to produce a spin-up tornado. Same thing with the storm near Freeport. As you can see, this boundary is getting yanked into this storm here and then comes back down through Freeport. So we could see the same thing happen in both these storms with two possible spin-up tornadoes. So to be determined here on what's going to happen there. But it looks more like side lobe contamination to me than real robust rotation. But again, there is that boundary there. So it definitely could be a little bit of rotation. All right, we're going to go back to our destructive severe thunderstorm warning here in New York and Pennsylvania. Still tagged with those 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Also a little bit of rotation on the front end. It's really weak at 8,000 feet, so I don't think this is going to be a tornadic storm, but definitely possible. They might put a tornado warning on it just because of the strong wind. I mean, probably not. Side lobe is what it is, Cruz. Again, this is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning out here at the tri-state region of Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. All of these storms out here in general are going to continue to pose a pretty significant wind risk. Some pretty strong storms here, rolling on through Pennsylvania and into Jersey. We did just get a tornado warning put on that storm with the potential side lobe contamination. Now, I will say it doesn't scream. The fact that we have the boundary here, like it doesn't scream to me like this is side lobe. It looks like, and especially now that we see the morphology of the storm beginning to hook out, this is definitely real rotation we're seeing on radar here, at least partially. It may be looking to be slightly enhanced, more enhanced than it is due to side lobe contamination, but in general, this is definitely rotation. I mean, you can literally see the boundary that it's ingesting, that's enhancing that inflow and giving us the possible tornado here. So we do have we do have a tornado warning in place here in Illinois for Joe Davies counties. This one's headed, it's near Elizabeth, just east of Elizabeth, headed towards Stockton right now. Or just south of Stockton, perhaps. So we do have a tornado warning in place here in Illinois right now. So again, tornado warning in place. In our NROT values, you can see this is, this is a derived radar product. It's not something that the radar can actually tell you. But this is coming in, showing a lot of rotation is present in good cyclonic rotation just southwest of Stockton here. So definitely a strong storm capable of producing a tornado here. As it looks like we actually have uptrended again on the most recent scan. So again, this is some strong rotation here near Stockton. The storm near Freeport also has a little bit of rotation as well. So something to think about too with that one. We'll see if that one becomes tornadic. I think this Stockton one definitely looks like it could easily be tornadic. The one near Freeport doesn't look quite as concerning. It's not directly ingesting the vorticity from this boundary here. As you can see, it's being pulled into the Stockton storm, and it's much more sparse and weaker. It's not getting directly ingested into the inflow for the Freeport storm. So I think that is why we're looking at this tornado warning here near Stockton. Could any of the Wisconsin stuff become tornadic? In theory, technically, but probably not. All of this is way too clustered at this point. We would need a storm to have some sort of a mesoscale interaction, such as with this outflow boundary that's draped here in Illinois that we're seeing. This boundary is the only reason that we're getting possible tornado genesis right now. And you don't really have that in Wisconsin as of right this second. All right, so this is a tornado warning in Illinois, just southwest of Stockton for Joe Davies County. How's Rockford looking? Should be all right. I mean, these storms are eventually headed your way, or perhaps just maybe just to your south. It depends. The Cardinals are up 16. I haven't looked at the score in a while. Yeah, the Cardinals are up 16-0 over the Cubs. Lorian, I just want you to know that. Lorian, I want you to feel that, actually. Lorian, I want you to know that the Cardinals are winning right now. All right. Still, we're looking at some strong rotation southwest of Stockton here, where we do have a clear inflow notch with this storm that is interacting with a boundary that is in place all the way stretched through this portion of Illinois. So it is ingesting that artificial vorticity here just southwest of Stockton, and we're getting that robust rotation here that could develop a tornado. So this is a little bit of mesoscale magic going on. This is an environment, or this is not an environment that's particularly conducive for tornadoes, but given the mesoscale features at play right now, we are seeing the possibility of a tornado here. I will say, when this tornado warning dissipates, unfortunately, I'm going to have to head out for the night, and it did just uptrend, so we may be here for a little bit longer still. So I do have some family plans tonight, but we're going to be live for this tornado warning. I'm not going to leave in the middle of this tornado warning. But once we figure out what's happening with this, we will be ending the broadcast for the evening, unfortunately, and we'll probably give a raid to somebody. I actually really don't know how to do a raid. You know who hasn't watched my pro bowler Kyle Troop? I respect it, Lorian. The Cubs aren't even washed. They're just bad. It's a bad baseball team. The Cardinals aren't a great baseball team either, but they are building that locker room culture, and they're going above expectations. Like, they have a young core. They're going to be good in a few years, but they're not, going crazy right now. Do you know how to do it, Ben? Okay, that's awesome. Can you tell me so I can so I know how in the future? I'm not even seeing a button for it. Is it in the creator studio thing? Like the live studio? Okay. The Reds are the only actually awful team in that division. Lorian says, I wanted to follow Kyle Tucker wherever he went, but I do not tolerate the LA Dodgers. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. You know, okay, here's the thing. They're a really good team with really good players. There's no denying that. And this rotation is a lot stronger south of Stockton, by the way. We could definitely see a tornado with us at any point. So this is definitely a very concerning cell here to the southwest of Stockton, where we're interacting with a localized area of vorticity being ingested artificially from a boundary here directly into the inflow of this storm. But yeah, Cardinals doing a little BTA action going on with the Cubs right now at Wrigley Field. That's embarrassing for the Cubs. At some point, you got to call it a run rule. I mean, my goodness. I'm just playing. Oh. Okay. I mean, Evan was able to do it for me. I just don't know how it works. Interesting. Yeah, I have no idea. But I'll just send everyone his way when we end. No big deal. Well, that's bad. That might be overkill, don't you think? 17-0. Yeah, I would say they're already deceased. No need to continue beating the horse there. Or beating the cub, I guess you could say. We do have a new considerable severe thunderstorm warning in South Dakota for this cell down here that had that side and still has that side lobe contamination over Hill City. So this one's going to be tagged for golf ball sized hail, which it's been producing for a little while now. But again, our main concern is a tornado warning up here near Stockton, as this one is still ingesting all of that localized vorticity here. I'm seeing a message in the chat from Disney Fan before that we might be seeing a rotating wall cloud on this storm. Not 100% sure. I don't have confirmation on that. Jason saying, how is Sterling Heights, Michigan looking? I don't know exactly where Sterling Heights is. Really, in general, these storms are starting to push out into Canada and back over the lakes again. They're exiting Detroit. So just a lot of rain behind that. If you're west of downtown Detroit, if you're in downtown Detroit, you're probably still getting blasted with some strong winds. And then if you're north of the Detroit area, you've still got a little bit left of ways to go near Pontiac and Mount Clemens and Warren, as these storms are going to continue off this direction through Michigan here and continue to bring damaging winds. Okay, so you're near Pontiac. So you've still got a little bit of ways to go until these storms are fully out of your area. I don't know. What was it? Sterling Heights? There it is. Yeah, okay, so in Sterling Heights, you do have some stronger winds heading your way, but a lot of these storms are starting to break up at least a little bit, which is good for your sake. Probably still up to 60, maybe isolated gusts up to 70 miles per hour are coming your way over the next half hour to an hour, and then you'll be pretty much done for the day. Just some rain after that. But you will be okay. A rotating wall cloud was reported with this storm. Yeah, you're right. How about that? So we do have a rotating wall cloud confirmed with this storm south of Stockton, and this rotation is tightening up. You'll see this inflow notch is deepening here as we're getting this notch shape where that inflow is coming into the storm, and we could easily see this thing wrap up and put down a tornado. And you're welcome, Jason. Stay safe out there tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Adrian, I just want to say I appreciate your tweet that says, do y'all remember when we had troughs? Yeah, near Freeport, I agree with you, Disney Fan before. We might be seeing this rotation starting to uptrend just a little bit here, as that one starts to hook out a little bit now as well. I am going to be staying live for about 5 more minutes here, and then I'm going to send you guys to Evan to take you through the rest of this coverage with these tornadoes, or these tornado warnings, I should say, in Illinois, as we may have a second one that shows up here not terribly long from now near Freeport. And the reason for that is because I have some family plans, so I'm going to have to leave here not too long from now. We have only been live for about 3.5 hours, so I apologize for not going. I've you know, you guys are used to seeing me for like 6 to 10 hours, so I apologize for the shorter broadcast this evening. But unfortunately, I've got some family plans. As we are still uptrending here south of Stockton, this one really looks like it could put down a tornado at any second here if it hasn't already. We do have a rotating wall cloud reported with this storm. And then near Freeport, rotation looking to tighten up a little bit as well. Not quite as concerning yet. If we can get this thing to wrap up a little bit and occlude that inflow a little bit more, then it would be a little more concerning. But right now, the way you have this occluded inflow here south of Stockton, that is definitely the most concerning spot on the map for a tornado right this moment. Yeah, we did have a rotating wall cloud reported 5 minutes ago. And it's not surprising at all. There aren't any spotters in the general vicinity of the storm, unfortunately. Back into Michigan, all of our considerable severe thunderstorm warnings have been downgraded, except for the one rolling through Pontiac, which is a good call, in my opinion. That one is still producing some stronger winds, potentially up to 60, maybe 70 mile per hour gusts. That one will probably get downgraded to a general severe thunderstorm warning within the next half hour or so, as this storm system continues to weaken and this line segment of storms continues to propagate itself off towards Canada and into the Ohio Valley. It looks like morphology-wise, perhaps that rotation has downtrended a little bit. Our velocities are about to update in about 10 seconds. Or they did actually just update, so it did not downtrend. The inflow is definitely not cut off quite as much as it was before. You'll see this is a slightly larger inflow notch here from the previous scan. Near Freeport, that one looks like it's tightening up a little bit more. So that one's starting to become a little bit more concerning to me here. Definitely could become tornadic. So it sounds like maybe there's no way for me to. Ah, here we go. Edit, customization. No? Okay, we did just get a second tornado warning. So this is now going to be an extension down here, basically a downstream tornado warning, but it's also going to include Freeport. So this is 2 severe thunderstorms, both capable of producing a tornado. So we're looking at the Freeport storm, and they also intelligently included this Pearl City storm in case it becomes tornadic as well. So a really smart decision from the National Weather Service here. So we do have 2 tornado warnings in play right now. So 2 tornado warnings in play. Freeport and south of Stockton here. Okay, we are going to quickly hear from Mikey before I end the broadcast here, as he is parked in front of some down tree damage you see at the bottom of your screen. That's what he's looking at now. We're going to do a live hit with him in just a minute here, as it looks like he's filming a quick video or something. And then we're going to do a quick live hit with him, and then we're going to end off the broadcast and send everyone over to Evan for continued coverage of severe weather for the rest of the evening, as I have some family plans that I've got to run for. So we're going to get him. It looks like he is just about ready to go. So I'm going to pull his feed here. And we're going to hear from Mikey really quick. All right. All right, Mikey, how are you? It looks like you're looking at a little bit of maybe some cooling water there on that road as well, and some down trees.
So I'm in actually one of my buddy's driveways here. I finally made it home. So they have pretty much an entire down tree here with down power lines. I'm not getting close because these wires could be live.
Right.
You never want to mess with those. But I just want to take this time to hop on here because it kind of shows the importance of taking any severe weather warning seriously, not just a tornado warning. Because if a tree like this, and I've seen a ton of trees down, if this were to fall on the top story of a home and good.
All right.
Gotta love rural Michigan. But yeah, this is just another reason to take any severe warning seriously, because if somebody wasn't abiding and it fell on a roof or something, that could be life-threatening. So
absolutely, yeah, and those can crush right through the roofs of cars as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's huge down trees everywhere. Most of Hillsdale County is out of power right now. So
wow.
Calhoun as well. There was a lot of damage in Calhoun, Michigan, where I intercepted the line. So
yeah, I was seeing a lot of tree limbs all over the place on your feed not too terribly long ago as you were driving around.
Yeah, so definitely a damaging system here.
Yeah.
Pretty prolific day.
Yeah, definitely a really big wind day. Just a giant windbag event in Michigan. We'll see if it ends up being classified as a derecho. I think it's definitely possible, as it was a very widespread event. So we'll see what happens with that as the situation evolves.
Yeah. Started all the way back in northern Illinois, so definitely on the table.
Yep.
All right, man.
Thank you so much for the update, brother. Be safe on your way home. I know you're closer to home now, but be safe on the way back, and appreciate you with your coverage this evening.
Have a good 4th.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yep.
Alrighty, so that was Mikey Plemons out there, Nader Mike, as you may know him. He did a fantastic job storm chasing for us this evening. We are watching these storms very closely in Illinois. Rotation is still tight near Freeport, and especially just west of Pearl City and south of Stockton. That is our primary area of concern right now, is going to be right here west of Pearl City. And then the Freeport storm actually looks like it might be downtrending a little bit, which would be good news. Definitely downtrending in Freeport. So that's good. So our main concern with this tornado warning is definitely the storm west of Pearl City, which also has downtrended just a little bit, as it looks like it might be slightly detaching itself from this boundary here. And that may be due to the Pearl City cell. So that cell may end up kind of cutting things off for us a little bit in terms of the tornado risk, which would be very good news. So definitely something to watch there. In the bottom left, by the way, you'll still see Mikey's feed with these down trees hanging on the power lines down there as well. So you can continue to watch that. He's obviously not going to get too close. But it looks like near Freeport, things have significantly weakened, which is great. That storm looks to be dissolving. And now west of Pearl City, again, a little bit of a downtrend on the latest scan, but there's still good rotation there where we could see a tornado. So still one to watch. We'll see what happens on the next radar scan. And in just about 5 minutes here, we are going to send things over to Evan. Now, I don't have the ability to raid Evan yet, but I will be sending everyone over to Evan Freiberger this evening in just a few minutes. So we're going to wait for the next radar scan to see if it's uptrending or downtrending, and then we're going to send everyone over that direction. When we do get to Evan's stream, don't go yet, but when we do get there in literally just a minute or two, everyone type that you came from my broadcast there, show him some love, and try to pay it back, as he's He's hosted us twice now, I believe, which has been really, really incredible for our growth. Super grateful to him for that. So definitely make sure to show him a lot of love and let him know that you came from our broadcast here at WillBrattonWx to ensure that we help pay him back a little bit for the love that he's shown us. He's been very kind to us in our early growth here. As that next radar scan should be coming in any minute here. We have the velocity scan. We're just waiting on the and there we go. So our velocities have weakened even a little bit more. It is actually a little bit tighter, but it is a smaller area of rotation. So a little bit of a weakening here. So that being said, we are going to end things off for our broadcast this evening. Everyone go to Evan Freiberger's stream. I'm going to drop that link in the chat here in just a second. Here it is. And there we go. All right, everyone go to Evan Freiberger's stream and send one message. Don't spam his chat, but send one message that you came from my broadcast. I'll see you guys there and enjoy his coverage for the rest of the night. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in this evening and being with us here at Will Bratton WX. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys very soon. Have a great 4th of July. We'll see you probably on Sunday. See you guys.